Pass attempts, pass completions, and passing yardage. He'll throw from any formation to Sammy White, Joe Sensor, and the fleet number 28, Ahmad Rashad. On the ground, the Vikings with a new look. Their number 1 draft pick out of Stanford, Darren Nelson. He's only 5'9", 185 pounds, but he passed Archie Griffith, Charles White, and Tony Dorsett on the NCAA all-time all-purpose yardage list. He gives Minnesota that extra dimension. The new era, the new look of the Vikings as they move indoors to the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. No more games in the blistering cold without heaters on the sideline. No more snowball games at Metropolitan Stadium, Minnesota's home for 21 seasons, where the Vikings won 167 games and 12 division championships. A new stadium, a new season. The Minnesota Vikings, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, here on CBS.
CBS Sports presents the National Football League. Today, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Minnesota Vikings.
Live from the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome in Minneapolis, the Minnesota Vikings and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As you're about to see, the champions in the NFC Central Division over the last 4 years, the Vikings and the Buccaneers have split. So this is not just an opening game between two contenders. This is an opening game between two teams that have alternated as division champions for 4 seasons. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Kelly. John Dockery alongside. We expect a good ball game. When you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, John, you're talking about a team that is maturing together, and because of that, they think their playoff possibilities extend beyond the division championship.
It's interesting that Doug Williams and John McKay should tell me the same thing, that this may be the best team in the history of the Tampa Bay franchise. The reason, depth and experience, Jim.
And the Minnesota Vikings, of course, coming off a disastrous finish. They lost the last 5 games, missed the playoffs, a rarity for a Bud Grant coach team, but their number 1 draft pick this year expected to be a big added dimension.
And another key, of course, Tommy Kramer is healthy. His knees are fine. His problems are behind him. He's ready to find those fine wide receivers.
Just a few moments ago, just prior to the toss of the coin, the solidarity movement in the National Football League, John, continues as the Vikings and the Buccaneers shake hands.
But there is one exception there, though. What Doug Williams, you'll see on the sideline by himself, he's the only man that didn't participate in the handshake. He did that last week, the same thing. First 3 weeks of the season, he did participate, but he feels he had to make a stand, so Doug Williams stood alone on the sideline as we watch Rick Danmeyer getting ready to kick it off here at the Metrodome.
The 1982 NFL season, the 63rd in the National Football League, is underway. The Vikings kick off. The Buccaneers receive. Morton deep, runs it back across the 25-yard line, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers start 1st and 10 from that point. Here's the offensive lineup for the Buccaneers. Of course, their 5th-year quarterback, Doug Williams. The 2 running backs, they're young, James Wilder, James Owens. Kevin House, the speedster, he opens things up offensively. There is the young but improving offensive line, and the tight end, of course, he's a Pro Bowler, Jimmy Giles.
And Sean Farrell, the number 1 draft choice out of Penn State, starts at right guard.
1st and 10, Tampa Bay, as Doug Williams sends them out. Wide receivers out to the left side. That's Kevin House in the slot to the left side. They line up in the I-Pro set. Wilder, along with Gerald Carter in the backfield. 1st and 10 from the 25. Inside handoff, slashing up near the 30-yard line is James Owens in his 4th year out of UCLA. The Vikings defensively, they play the 3-4, but expect to see a new addition, John. Charlie Johnson, a former All-Pro acquired from the Philadelphia Eagles.
We'll see a lot of 4-3, of course. Randy Holloway is another fine defensive lineman. As you look at that fine set of linebackers, Matt Blair, number 59, the big play man, a Pro Bowler, defensive secondary. Steady but porous at times, a problem for the Minnesota Vikings.
Theo Bell out wide to the left side, Kevin House out wide to the right side. 2nd down and Vikings, 6 yards to go. In the I-Pro set, it's Owens along with Wilder. Close to 1st down yardage, knocked back Theo Bell. He's up around the 36-yard line. He had to get it across the 36. Willie Teal in his 3rd year out of LSU in there on the tackle.
Of course, Doug Williams. The difference in Doug Williams this year and last year over, as you look at John McKay and Nelson, Bill Nelson along the sideline, of course, the quarterback coach, he's sending the plays along with McKay. Doug Williams maturing. It's his 5th year in the game. It's time for him to show that he is one of the top quarterbacks in the game.
John McKay taking a more important role in the offensive scheme of things, John, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Toward the end of last season, he, rather than Bill Nelson, was calling the plays. 3rd down, a short yard and a half to go for the Buccaneers. Straight drop. Doug Williams, 1st down, Tampa Bay, across the 40 way up near the 42-yard line. Thrown down by number 55, Scott Studwell.
An interesting departure from past Tampa Bay Buccaneer policy. Normally on 3rd and short, you might see them try for the conservative play to run up the middle for the first down, but this is a new, confident Doug Williams. He throws the ball with authority. It's caught by the big tight end Jimmy Giles for the first down.
Doug Williams in his 5th year, he last year attempted 471 passes, completed 238 for over 563 yards, 19 touchdowns, and we'll pick up on his career total in just a second because it's very significant. 1st and 10, Tampa Bay, keeping the drive alive, slashing inside. James Owens in his 4th year out of UCLA off the right side picks up short yardage. John, you talk about Doug Williams maturing, and you know his career yardage now is almost 10,500 yards. Only Joe Namath and Jim Zorn have thrown for more yardage in their first 4 pro seasons.
Joe Willie, not a bad quarterback. And Doug told me last night as we talked on the phone that he's gotten a chance to play, to take his knocks, and that's something that he was happy about, even though it's been difficult at times for Doug Williams, but he hasn't had to sit like Tommy Kramer did for a couple of years behind Tarkington.
Kevin House out wide to the left side. They shift now. The running backs, Owens and Wilder. 2nd down and 8, Tampa Bay. James Owens knocked backwards at the 45-yard line, but not before he knifed his way forward for a pickup of about 2. Brought down by number 52, Dennis Johnson, a 4th-round draft pick out of USC in his 3rd year for the Trojans.
Jim, you talk about Doug Williams and his growth. Last year, 1981, he broke that magic 50%. As you look at James Owens' stats, that 50% mark. He completed just over 50% of his passes. Preseason, he was red hot, completing around 60%, 66% to be exact, of his passes.
3rd and 5 for the Buccaneers. Kevin House out wide to the right side. They line up in a slot formation to the left side. Theo Bell is outside. Gerald Carter is inside. One back, cut back, Doug Williams. Another first down. Slashing across the middle, Gerald Carter inside Viking territory down near the 27-yard line. Out of Texas A&M, the 3rd-year man, Gerald Carter, finally chased down by Kurt Knopf.
And you get the sense that they are more confident as an offensive team here. They're using 3 wide receivers. Gerald Carter comes across the middle. Doug Williams lays it on the line, and receivers love that. We talked to House yesterday and to Jimmy Giles. They like that strong arm over the middle so they can get the ball and take off. There you see another first down for Tampa Bay, moving the ball early.
Very impressive opening drive for Tampa Bay. There is Gerald Carter, the 3rd-year man out of Texas A&M. Pitch back. Owens reverses his field, and the Vikings stop him at the 25-yard line.
Not a great running game for Tampa Bay. Doug Williams told us that he thought he'd have to throw the ball a lot to win against Minnesota. He thought their defense was something he could score upon. And it was interesting, Jim, Jimmy Giles had a point spread. He thought a point total that he thought they were going to have to score to beat Minnesota today.
Well, it was interesting in talking with both the Vikings and the Buccaneers yesterday, that magic number of 17 appeared. Both teams feel that if they can limit the other team to 17 points and obviously score more than 17 themselves, that they'll be in this football game. Wide receivers now to the left side. They line up in the slot on 2nd down and 8 from the 25 of the Vikings. And Doug Williams with a hot hand early got his man inside the 25 down to the 21-yard line. And Doug Williams is red hot right now. Flag down on the play, though, in the backfield of Tampa Bay. And the preliminary indication, John, it's against the Buccaneers as Doug Williams is walking backwards. He's not missed a pass yet.
I know, he really looks sharp, but that's the feeling you get from Doug. He's proved it to his peers as you watch the referee talking to Matt Blair, number 59, about the penalty.
Referee, by the way, is Gene Barth, and we'll get the call.
73 offense, holding, still 2nd down.
That's Charlie Hanna, the offensive tackle in his 6th year from Alabama. So it'll bring up 2nd down and 18 yards to go from the 35-yard line of the Vikings. Tampa Bay, their opening possession. We've got 10:04 left to go here in the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. First game of the 1982 season. Out wide to the left side, number 84 for Tampa Bay. That's Gordon Jones. House is out wide to the right side. The give to number 32, James Wilder, in his 2nd year out of Missouri. And he picks up 3, maybe 4 hard-earned yards before number 77 for the Vikings, Mark Mullaney, grasping him in his big arms, his 6'6", 242 in his 8th year out of Colorado State. Matt Blair, the veteran linebacker, of course. And we expect Matt Blair to be blitzing a little bit along with Freddie McNeil.
I don't think you can let a quarterback like Doug Williams stand back in that pocket and look for his receivers. The Vikings don't think they can also, and they will come with a little more pressure. That's been one of their biggest problems, pressure on the quarterback.
John, 3rd and 15, an obvious blitzing situation now. Let's see if they send McNeil in from the right side or number 59, Matt Blair from the left side. One back, slot to the left side. They need 15 over the middle. Almost intercepted. Incomplete. Making a diving try for it for the Vikings, number 25, Kurt Knopf in his 7th year out of Kansas. So now we'll see Bill Capice, the field goal kicker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Nice play there. Doug Williams shouldn't have thrown that ball to Jimmy Giles. Sometimes you get an idea. You have a favorite receiver. Certainly Jimmy Giles is it, but he was double covered. Williams should not have thrown that ball.
There you see the stats on Bill Capice from last season. 15 field goals, his longest from 51 yards, and 24 extra points. They will spot it at the 40, add 10 for the end zone. This will be a 50-yard try. He's hit from 51 last year. As you look from the end zone of this beautiful Hubert Humphrey Metrodome, slicing off just wide, and he misses it wide to the left side. Didn't miss it by much. So the Vikings come off the field somewhat inspired. An impressive opening drive, hurt by a penalty against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we'll see Tommy Kramer and that very potent passing offense of the Vikings next. The Buccaneers nothing, the Vikings nothing, when we come right back.
You can't disguise the quality of this car. It could be a BMW, but it isn't. It's thousands of dollars less. And with standard features like these, it could be a Honda Accord, but it isn't. It's still priced less. This is Chevrolet Cavalier. It should be an expensive car, but it isn't.
Now, special allowances make it possible for Chevy dealers to save you up to $900 on new Cavaliers.
The Hilton's right across the street.
Let's meet back at the Hilton at 8.
Meet you at the Hilton and have come over at the Hilton. Come over.
5 minutes to get to the Hilton.
I'm at the Hilton.
Let's walk over to the Hilton. I'll meet you later at the Hilton.
You know, the Hilton's got the best steak in town.
See you at the Hilton.
And you can reach me at the Hilton. Just call me at the Hilton, and we'll get down to your business right away.
When American business hits the road, American business stops at Hilton, America's business address.
There, the offensive backs and wide receivers for the Minnesota Vikings. Of course, the veteran Tommy Kramer out of Rice, Ahmad Rashad, Sammy White, and a new look in the backfield, which we'll talk about. The offensive line has a new look, but of course the outstanding tight end, Joe Sensor, good one from Westchester. Sammy White, Ahmad Rashad in the slot to the left side. Vikings start first and 10 from their own 32. Kramer, first call, and how about that? The first rookie to ever start in the backfield for Bud Grant. The number 1 draft pick out of Stanford, number 20, Darren Nelson gets the call, John Dockery, and the very first play from scrimmage.
I guess they want to get his feet wet, get him used to the regular season, and it's interesting when you look at the defensive line for the Buccaneers. They play that 3-4. Of course, Leroy Selman, the Pro Bowler, backed up by some fine linebackers. Hugh Green, number 53. We expect to see him coming more often to put pressure on Kramer. Defensive backs, steady and solid. Neil Colsey has played very well in that defensive secondary.
Second down and 9. Kramer has a slot to the left side again. Gives to Ted Brown and breaks right over the middle for a first down for the Minnesota Vikings. Across the 40, up near the 42-yard line. Finally tackled by Norris Thomas in his 6th year out of southern Mississippi. Obtained by Tampa Bay in a trade with the Dolphins back in 1980.
Isn't this ironic? The team that was worst in the NFL in rushing in 1981 starts the 1982 season with 2 running plays and makes the first down as you watch Ted Brown picking it up for the Vikes.
And, of course, big number 61, Wes Hamilton, the 7-year veteran out of Tulsa, leading the blocking for Ted Brown. When you talk about the Vikings' pass offense, you've got Tommy Kramer, tops in attempts, tops in pass completions, tops in yardage in the NFC last year. And, of course, the Bucs are thinking pass. The Vikings open up on the ground. First and 10, Minnesota, near the 44. Ted Brown again, this time nothing doing. Knife down right at the line of scrimmage. Good pursuit along the line of scrimmage. The Bucs play that 3-4, but they, too, will be blitzing some linebackers this afternoon.
Of course, Hugh Green yesterday, and we talked to Hugh Green in the hotel room, and he wants to serve notice up in New York on Lawrence Taylor that there is another linebacker in the NFL. And certainly those linebackers on the outside, the weak side, guys like Chip Banks, Lawrence Taylor, Tommy Cousineau of Cleveland, of course, linebackers becoming star quality as we look at Hugh Green, who last year learned the system, learned how to play in the NFL. This year wants to be a Pro Bowler.
Second down and 9 to go for the Vikings. Wide receivers are left and right. The backs are split. Kramer sends Sensor in motion. He'll throw from any formation. Looks to the left side. Got a man wide open, and it's picked off. Ted Brown was open at the 50-yard line, and Sammy White, slashing across the middle, brought the extra back in. Scott Brantley Bradley, number 52, in his third year out of Florida, was right there, in and out of the arms. And John, a former defensive back yourself, nothing more frustrating than having that ball right in the breadbasket and not coming up with it.
You're not kidding, but it was pressure. Watch Hugh Green. We talked about pressure from the defense. Hugh Green coming on the outside. Leroy Selman with him. Look at the little back, Darren Nelson, handling him pretty well, but Selman does get pressure. That's the reason the ball was thrown. And you talk about Brantley. This is his first regular season start. Maybe a little bit nervous.
Ahmad Rashad out wide to the left side. Terry LeCount now, number 80, wide at the bottom of your screen. The Vikings faced with 3rd and 8, a passing situation. This is Sammy White in motion to the near side. Pursued by Tampa Bay and unloads it, and he misses Sensor up about the 52-yard line. So the last 2 passes by Tommy Kramer, one was behind the intended receiver, this one over the head of Sensor, and Greg Coleman comes in and will punt for the first time this afternoon. Seems strange to be here in Minnesota and not see snowflakes filtering down, doesn't it, John?
Oh, I know. And Greg Coleman is in kicker's heaven. I mean, he's just delighted about the whole situation here.
Back deep for the Buccaneers, John Holt, number 21. Coleman awaits the snap. Low, spiraling kick that Holt will field, and now he lets it go into the end zone. So the Buccaneers, after holding on defense, start 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. 6:55 left to go in the first quarter. We've got a scoreless game, the Minnesota Vikings and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Deacon's my name, and bowling's my game.
Gutter ball, gutter ball. How are you going to score there?
Come on, 3 strikes and you're out.
We just won another round of light beer from Miller.
Yeah, light sure tastes great.
Let's Philly, stay straight. Wait a minute. There it is, down there. Take your time.
8 ball in the pocket.
Bubba, this ball doesn't have any holes in it. Yeah, it does.
The score's all even.
Last frame, who's up? Rodney. Rodney! Gotta be a mistake. Hey, you kidding? It's a piece of cake. All we need is 1 pin, Rodney.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
I didn't get my turn yet. I'm gonna break this tie.
There is John McKay in the orange jacket, who, if he were not indoors coaching the Buccaneers, would like to be outdoors with a golf club.
And smoking a cigar.
Asked him yesterday, would he rather go down as a legend in coaching or on the golf course? His choice was easy.
He wants to be a legend in golf. He said he was already once a legend in college, doesn't want to be again in coaching.
Go to the I pro set. Straight ahead goes James Owens, slashing over the 25 up near the 26, maybe the 27-yard line, before Tom Hannon came up at perhaps a touchdown-saving tackle. Hannon in his 6th year from Michigan State, 5'11", 193, and they expect big things from him at the free safety spot. Cincinnati goes up. Ken Anderson, an 18-yard touchdown toss to his outstanding tight end, Danny Ross, and the Bengals lead the Oilers, who were minus Ken Stabler, and, of course, Gifford Nielsen going. Kansas City goes up over Buffalo 3-0 on a field goal from 39 yards out by Nick Lowry.
Excuse me, Jim. Of course, Buffalo without Joe Cribbs is not the same team.
Bell and House, slot formation to the left side. Bucks looking at 2nd and 4. Wilder and Owens in the backfield. Quick pass. Got his man, Theo Bell. First down. Willie Teal, the 3rd-year man from LSU, came up with a hit, but not before Theo Bell, the former Pittsburgh Steeler, came up, and we've got an isolated look.
You know, Doug Williams told me Theo Bell learned his receiving in the proper place at Pittsburgh and does everything well, and right here it's just a simple hook pattern. Williams delivers the ball with Teal slightly far off, so it's good for a first down.
Theo Bell used to receiving a hard ball, a fastball, if you will, John, having played with Terry Bradshaw, who also throws a ball very similar to Doug Williams.
Two of the strongest arms in the game.
Kevin House out wide to the left side. Gordon Jones split out wide to the right side. Tampa Bay looking at 1st and 10 from the 31. Inside handoff, slashing across the right side. The 2nd-year back from Missouri up close to the 35-yard line before Johnny Turner, the veteran from Miami of Florida, finally brought him down.
And if you're missing someone and you're a Tampa Bay Buck fan, it's Jerry Eckwood, the man who accounted for 864 yards in total yards last year for the Bucks, replaced by James Owens, a 4th-year man out of UCLA, doing a fine job. Owens is kind of like Tony Galbraith on the other side. He came to camp just before the season last year, never really got his feet wet. This year they're expecting a lot from James Owens, replacing Jerry Eckwood.
Theo Bell wide to the left side. Kevin House wide to the right side. The Bucks looking 2nd and 10. And Doug Williams will tackle, but not before Doug Williams, who is now 5 out of 6 in the passing department, another first down.
Willie Teal gives him a little bump inside their playing zone. Matt Blair turns around, doesn't get to Theo Bell in time. Williams puts it on the line for the completion.
First and 10, Tampa Bay into Viking territory. As you see John McKay, much more active, as we said, in the offensive scheme of things for the Buccaneers. Kevin House out wide to the left side. Theo Bell, check it. Gordon Jones now moves into the slot to the left at the bottom of the screen as they shift to the I pro set. Owens behind Wilder. Knifes his way across the 40. Bites up near the 37. Maybe down to the 36-yard line before Dennis Johnson in his 3rd year from USC. And Scott Studwell, the veteran out of Louisville, in his 6th year, finally make the hit.
That's the big fullback James Wilder, number 2 draft choice in 1981. John McKay calls him the complete fullback. A blocker, a runner, a pass receiver. Last year he caught 48 passes for over 500 yards out of the backfield. So both those guys can come out of the backfield for Doug Williams.
6'3", 225. Good speed out of the backfield for Wilder. House and Theo Bell in the slot to the left side. Tampa Bay and Doug Williams looking at 2nd down and 5. A quick out. Wilder, you see the good hands and the good speed and acceleration. That time, John, he did what they like their backs to do. Get the shoulders square coming down the field. Hit the linebacker head on. That time, Doug Martin finally made the hit.
That's the whole idea. You can't do anything unless you get turned upfield. That time, James Wilder got turned up. Couldn't do much as you look at the brain trust talking along the sidelines. McKay with Gordon Jones, of course, one of the top receivers. Here comes Gordon Jones shuttling the plays in. Number 84, the 4th-year man out of Pittsburgh. Going to come in and tell Doug Williams what the next play is to be.
Interesting play call. It's 3rd down, about 1.5 yards to go. Now, one of the things that the Vikings fear the most about Doug Williams, not only his rifle-like arm, but his ability, John, to pull the ball down and run with the football.
And he's a man that doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, as you saw from that grapple.
Pitch back to Owens. Wilder with a key block, fights his way close to first down yardage, and this will be very, very close. Tommy Hannon, in his 6th year from Michigan State, finally made the hit, but they are very close to first down yardage. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Minnesota Vikings and the National Football League is prohibited. They mark it just shy of first down yardage, so we will see Bill Capice once again. He has missed from 50 yards out. His longest on the season, as we recall, was 51 yards a year ago. And this will be spotted at the 41, plus the 10 of the end zone. Will be another 51-yard try. His last was just barely wide to the left side. This one he nails. No problem on the distance on either. So Bill Capice and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go up a 51-yard field goal. The Bucs 3, Minnesota nothing.
Chevy's out to blow away the confusion about pickups with the new Chevy S10. Let's compare gas mileage. Toyota and Datsun can't match S10's EPA gas mileage ratings. The imports don't offer an optional V6. S10 does. The new size Chevy S10. There's never been a truck like it before.
And now, during Chevy's Truck Sales Drive, special incentives to dealers make possible savings of hundreds of dollars on new Chevy S10 and Love pickups, plus full-size C and K 10 and 20 pickups.
Western cut gold rivers, not riding with the rest. It's a smokeless tobacco with a taste of the Golden West.
Been a long time, but it's well, Jed. Yeah. One more ride, Adam? Maybe. As far as the river?
Yeah, Western cut gold river brand is spreading across the land.
John Dockery back at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome here in Minneapolis. 2 minutes left to go in this first quarter. Minnesota trailing by a score of 3-0. Eddie Payton back deep, awaiting this kick by Bill Capice. It is a short kick. Payton takes it at the 1 behind a wall of blockers to the 20, and look out. Payton across the 30-yard line to the 32, and that's where Tommy Kramer will start. 1st and 10 with the Vikings on the short end by a score of 3-0. Eddie Payton, of course, the brother of Walter Payton for the Chicago Bears. The men's finals of the U.S. Open Tennis Championships following the game. The number 2 seed, Jimmy Connors, facing the number 3 seed, Yvonne Lendl, for the championship, coming up next here on CBS Sports.
Boy, did you see Jimmy Connors yesterday? Was he pumped up and excited about it?
Of course I saw him. I was sitting next to you at the Minnesota Vikings office. Even the Vikings yesterday were watching a little bit of the tennis action here on CBS. 1st and 10 backwards. 2nd down and 8 for Tampa Bay. Rams have gone ahead of Green Bay by a score of 7-0. Wendell Tyler a 4-yard run, and also from 4 yards out, Wilbert Montgomery has gone ahead and put the Eagles on top over Washington by a score of 7-0 at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Of course, the Redskins, minus Joe Washington, who was hurt. That's a big loss for the Skins. Rashad out wide to the left side. Sammy White flanked out to the right side. You look at Tommy Kramer in tight. And the Vikings on the short end, 3-0. 1:10 left to go in the first quarter. All kinds of running room. Across the 50-yard line. First down for Minnesota. Finally brought down by number 56, Cecil Johnson. Kind of a little hesitation, almost the halfback draw, and they run back against the grain, Johnny.
The whole idea is to get that defense moving. The pursuit in professional football is incredible now. You see that linebacker overrun it. Ted Brown takes it back up. And you know, you tend to think of Ted Brown as a receiver more than a running back because he had 83 catches last year. But, you know, he rushed for over 1,000 yards, almost 4 yards a carry in 1981.
You saw the line pull out. Everybody pulled to the right side. Brown went back against the grain to the left, picked up big yardage. 1st and 10, Minnesota. Kramer, wide receivers left and right. This is Darren Nelson trying to get a block. Joe Sensor missed the block. And throwing him down, number 59 for the Buccaneers, Andy Hawkins, in his 3rd year from Texas A&I. There's a case of the linebacker staying at home, playing his position perfect.
A great read by the young linebacker, and those linebackers, all of them, when you look at them, Hawkins, Johnson, Brantley, you hear most about Hugh Green, but they're a good set of linebackers, and that time he just beat Joe Sensor's block and made the tackle.
You said yesterday, we're just getting better, and we're getting better together. That's the end of the first quarter with the score, Tampa Bay 3, Minnesota 0.
What made Chevy Chevette the best-selling small car in America last year?
All the standard features: reclining front seat, AM radio, shift console, white striped tires, fold-down rear seat, and lots of other things.
Is the Chevette's great gas mileage? A big 30 EPA estimated miles per gallon, 42 estimated highway.
Could it be Chevette's low price? It's still one of the lowest priced Ford or hatchbacks sold in America, foreign or domestic.
Now, special allowances make it possible for Chevy dealers to save you up to $600 on new Chevettes.
My American friends introduced me to my favorite beer, light beer from Miller. Now I'm introducing them to my favorite food. With nachos, the best thing about light is it tastes great.
Not bad.
With enchiladas, the best thing is it's got a third less calories than the regular beer. With burritos, the best thing is it's less filling.
Carlos, what's this?
And with jalapeno peppers, the best thing about light is it's cold.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
If you want a real insurance value for your car, your home, your life, or health, check with State Farm.
I'm State Farm Agent E.G. Warren. State Farm agents offer a good price on all your personal and family insurance. But a real value is more than just a good price. It's the protection that's right for your needs and personal service you can count on too. For good protection at a good price and service you really can't put a price on, check with State Farm.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Chevrolet and your local Chevy dealers from coast to coast. And by light beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer, and less.
How many times have you seen that fellow on the Viking sideline, only with icicles and snow hanging over it?
Doesn't seem like the same man, does he?
Of course, after 21 seasons at Metropolitan Stadium, where the Vikings were so successful, winning 12 division championships, they move indoors in this first game here at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. About to start the second quarter. Jim Kelly, John Dockery here on CBS. The Vikings trail 3-0 to Tampa Bay. Bill Capiz for the Buccaneers, a 51-yard field goal in the first quarter. Tommy Kramer on 2nd and 15 is sacked. Getting in there quickly is big number 76, David Logan, in his 4th year out of Pittsburgh.
A lot of pressure, and they knew they were going to have to put pressure on Tommy Kramer, and this is a different defense. They're going to come after the pass, gamble a little bit more. Watch Logan, the nose guard. You see that quick move? Boy, he's right by Dennis Swilley, number 67, before he can even look up. Tommy Kramer, no time to throw the ball.
The nose tackle, 6'2", 255, a 12th round draft pick out of Pittsburgh, and they like him.
The old fire plug at nose tackle, right?
3rd and 26. As Kramer sends Kerry wide open at the 40, but he'll be way shy of first down yardage. Good pursuit. You can see the pursuit of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's one of their strengths. Dana Nossinger in there on the tackle, the fifth-year pro out of Cali Pod.
It was beautiful to watch the linebackers as you watch number 51 leaving the field. Had a terrific preseason. They were like a chorus of ballet dancers, all moving back in unison, deep to protect against a deep first down pass. They let Brown catch it in front. They all converged and made the tackle.
And Nossinger is a free agent, signed in 77. Coleman all set to kick it away. The Vikings backed up. They have 4th and 19. Back deep is number 21, John Holt. He awaits this punt at about the 19-yard line. High spiral. Good kick by Coleman. His last punt was 54 in the end zone. Holt gets a block, tries to get to the sideline. Cannot. He gets it back only to the 11-yard line. Before number 53 for the Minnesota Vikings, Henry Johnson, reserve linebacker, gets in there and makes the hit. So when we come right back, there's 13:38 left to go in this first half. Tampa Bay on top over Minnesota by a score of 3-0.
Chevrolet Celebrity.
Come drive the bright new shape of Chevrolet Celebrity. Chevrolet's newest and largest front-wheel drive. A shape so aerodynamic, it requires less than 12 horsepower to cruise at 50 miles per hour. Celebrity. The comforts of a larger car, the precision of front-wheel drive come together.
Now, special allowances make it possible for Chevy dealers to save you up to $700 on new Celebrities.
Owens Corning Fiberglass announces a $10 rebate on pink insulation. And none too soon, because old man winter is coming with all those high fuel bills. Don't take it. Roll out an extra fuel-saving layer of pink insulation in your attic and get $10 back from Owens Corning, too. But hurry, the Put Your House in the Pink rebate ends September 26th.
Next Saturday on CBS Sports. Timely Rider heads the field at the Marlboro Cup. Next Saturday on CBS Sports.
Back live at the Metrodome. 13:38 left to go in the first half. Doug Williams sends Theo Bell out wide to the left side. Kevin House moves into the slot. You look from the end zone. They move to the I pro set now with Wilder the fullback, Owens the halfback. Right over the middle, got his man, and a first down for Tampa Bay. Number 89, Kevin House, in his third year from Southern Illinois. He's the speedster. He's the man that opens it up for Theo Bell. Also for the tight end, Jimmy Giles again. Another look.
Watch Doug Williams. This shows you that Doug Williams has arrived as a quarterback. Watch him look left, pump, still looking, comes back to probably his third receiver, Kevin House, completes the pass for a first down. That's what good pro quarterbacks do after they've learned the game. They feel comfortable.
John, good point. Third receiver. There was a time when Doug Williams was not able to look off of the second and third receiver. He would try to force the ball to the primary receiver. But in the NFL, it takes 3, 4, sometimes 5 years for a quarterback to mature, and that's what Doug Williams has done. First and 10 from the 27. Nothing doing inside as they barely get it back to the line of scrimmage. Matt Blair in there in the tackle, helped out by number 65, Charlie Johnson. And what a story there.
Charlie Johnson what a steal from Philadelphia, where it was 3 straight Pro Bowls. Number 65, as you watch him come off the field, delighted to be away from Dick Vermeil. He's fairly outspoken in the fact that he did not like the regimentation, the overworking that he felt was going on in Philadelphia. Told me yesterday he's like a rookie with his exuberance here in Minnesota.
Rejuvenated Charlie Johnson, and he wasn't too bad in Philadelphia when he was second down and 8 from the 29. Motion, that's Kevin House. Doug Williams looks to the near sideline, got Kevin House wide open, but out of bounds. The ball just slightly overthrown up near the 43-yard line. Next Saturday, beginning at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, it's the NCAA Today, followed by NCAA Regional Action, and we've got some great games for you as college football returns here on CBS.
Look at that lineup. Of course, Minnesota played right here in the Metrodome last night, won 57-3, beat Ohio University. They have a great running back, Tony Hunter. As you look at Bud Grant along the sidelines.
Concerned about his defense right now, concerned about Tampa Bay as they've got a 3rd and 9 situation. Slot to the left side, House wide to the right side. Wilder the lone setback. Doug Williams put it up. Looks to the near sideline, incomplete. Throwing it to the Viking bench. Scott Studwell over there. He got the ball, intended it for Jimmy Giles. Mark Mullaney, the 8th-year pro out of Colorado State, putting some pressure on Williams, who had to unload. So now we'll have a punting situation for the Buccaneers. And the second time rather, we see Larry Swider, the Tampa Bay punter. And
out. Eddie Payton is camped under that. No problems at all.
Well, there were 2 problems right there.
Exactly.
Number 24 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was Thomas Morris, and number 22, Johnny Ray Smith, down there quickly. Good specialty teams coverage. 11:50 left to go in the first half. We still got a 3-0 game. The Bucs over the Vikings.
Oh, Edna, the Toyota needs struts, brakes, and a new muffler. And if we can't get the car back by tonight, we can't go to your mother's for dinner. She'll never get all that done in one day.
If you want your foreign car fixed fast, trust the Midas Touch. Midas has foreign car struts, brakes, and mufflers in stock.
I won't see my mother-in-law for a week.
Trust the Midas Touch.
Hi, Mom.
The last thing I want is for my boy to get hurt. So I gave him an Norelco. It treats him with tender, loving care. Doesn't nip or cut like blades can, and shaves his face baby smooth. He loves his Norelco, because it cuts down whiskers like Mark Gastineau cuts down quarterback.
Right, Mom. I swear by my Norelco.
I wish he wouldn't swear.
Norelco Rotatract. Tough on your beard, not on your face.
The Lions have gone ahead of the Chicago Bears and their new first-year coach, Mike Ditka, on a 5-yard touchdown toss. Eric Hipple to David Hill. Lions 7, Chicago nothing. The Lions, of course, missing their kicker, Eddie Murray, the place kicker, Tom Sclavaney, both were suspended, but Billy Sims is back.
And that's got to pick up the Lions, and that looks like what's happening there. Hit 7-zip.
And the Lions, of course, will play the Los Angeles Rams right here on CBS 1 week from today. Sammy White in motion at the top of the screen. Tommy Kramer on 1st and 10. Got his man wide open on the far sideline. Ahmad Rashad, the 10-year veteran out of Oregon. Ahmad Rashad has caught a pass now in 78 consecutive games, a streak that goes all the way back to 1977. Cedric Brown chased him out of bounds. You know, among wide receivers, nobody in the last 6 years has caught more passes than Ahmad Rashad.
That's an incredible statistic. I mean, in 1981 wasn't his greatest year. He had 58 catches for 884 yards. The man is just uncanny. As you look at that graphic there, 13 games with over 100 yards receiving, most on Vikings, holds all kinds of records for the Vikings.
Straight ahead. That is Tony Galbraith, the 7th-year pro out of Missouri, the second series that Tony has been in on. And it'll be 3rd down and short yardage for the Vikings, who trail at 3-0. We talk about the Rams playing the Lions 1 week from today here on CBS. The Rams have got ahead of Green Bay. Bart Starr's Packers being shut out right now on a field goal from 32 yards out, coupled with a Wendell Tyler 4-yard run. It's Los Angeles 10 and the Packers nothing.
I'm convinced, it's my own personal feeling, that the Rams with Burt Jones will be a team to be reckoned with in 1982.
That's right. Burt Jones did start this afternoon for Los Angeles and Ray Malavasi. 3rd down, a short 2 to go. Wide receivers left and right. The backs are split. Kramer will throw from any formation. First down up near the 37-yard line. Tony Galbraith out of the backfield, traded from the New Orleans Saints. He can run. He fits right into this mold for Bud Grant and the new look Vikings. A good receiver as well.
You know, he's the kind of back that you need in the NFL now, but he's kind of a combination back as you look at Tommy Kramer. But number 32, Tony Galbraith, averaged 54 receptions a year at New Orleans. Last year, he was getting the feel of the system. Didn't play that much. Only had 18 receptions and 198 yards rushing. As you look at Galbraith, but I think he's ready to contribute. You will see 4 running backs from Minnesota today. Good ones, too.
Galbraith and Darren Nelson in the backfield. Nelson, of course, the rookie, the number 1 draft pick out of Stanford, and he's got the football. Tries to cut it back against the grain. You can see how that little stutter step, the quick acceleration of Darren Nelson, that's what Tampa Bay fears the most. Picked up about 3 on the play before Cecil Johnson, the free agent out of Pittsburgh, finally threw him down. And it'll bring up 2nd down and 7 yards to go.
Darren Nelson is just so quick. First rookie running back, as you see, to start for Bud Grant. The only other rookie that I can recall, Jim, starting for Bud Grant was Sammy White in 1976, starting at wide receiver. But a lot of people think that Chuck Foreman started as a rookie. He didn't start that first game.
And Darren Nelson, as you look there, the first player ever in the history of college football to rush for over 1,000 yards and catch over 50 passes in the same season. 2nd down, a long 7. This is Darren Nelson, got a blocker out in front of him. You see the good move to the outside. Close to 1st down yardage, out of bounds up near the 45-yard line. Chased out of bounds by Neil Colsey, the veteran out of Ohio State.
Darren Nelson just does so many things well. You mentioned his ability to catch the ball, to run with the ball. Talking to Steve Dills yesterday, look at that. That'll tell you something about Darren Nelson when he was at Stanford and why he was drafted as the first running back in the draft, number 1 by the Vikes. Just an incredible performance. Steve Dills told me he reminded him of a Terry Metcalf, a Joe Washington, that kind of quickness out of the backfield, that kind of speed.
Darren Nelson checks out. Ricky Young, number 34, the 8-year veteran out of Jackson State, checks in. The Vikings just keep throwing good backs at you. Short yardage formation. Bucks digging in on defense. First down, Minnesota. Vikings approaching midfield. That's Galbraith, who knifed over for the first down yardage. And Ahmad Rashad and Sammy White, the fleet wide receivers for the Vikings, will check back in.
Tony Galbraith, of course, is the big back when you consider they don't really have that big, powerful fullback. He has to be the man. He's 20 pounds lighter, a little bit quicker this year. Came in at 220 as you look at Tommy Kramer checking the signals from the sideline. But Ricky Young, number 34, was the man that was doing the blocking. He is the best blocker for the Vikings in the backfield.
You saw the 81 season stats on Tony Galbraith in the preseason, in which the Vikings were 3-2. He had 33 carries for 158 yards, almost 5 yards a carry, so he is ready. Ricky Young in there with Galbraith. Kramer to put it up on 1st and 10. Got his man. That is number 32, Tony Galbraith. Galbraith in the receiving department in the preseason had 16 catches for 130 yards, averaging almost 8 yards per catch. So you can see he can run, he can catch. He is the perfect back for this Tommy Kramer, Bud Grant, Minnesota offense. Cedric Brown finally brought him down.
He slips the linebacker, number 53. Hugh Green did not get a good bump on Galbraith. He slipped by him. Kramer with a nice touch for the completion.
How'd you like to be in the secondary of the Buccaneers? You've got Darren Nelson coming out of the backfield. You've got Tony Galbraith, Ricky Young. Then you've got to cover Sammy White. You've got to cover Ahmad Rashad. And Joe Sensor, who's only had 1 ball thrown so far. Busy afternoon for the Bucs on defense, but Tampa Bay leads at 3-0. 8:19 left to go in the first half. 1st and 10, Minnesota at the 29 of Tampa Bay. Play action. Kramer goes up top. Incomplete, and I think Kramer just threw that one away, Johnny.
I think he did. It was a little play-action pass on 1st down, trying to catch the defense napping. They were not napping. He tried to go downtown to Rashad like he did last week. Tommy Kramer didn't have much of a preseason, but last week in that drive against New Orleans, he completed 7 of 8 passes in the last drive, and finally hitting Rashad on a post pattern for a 22-yard touchdown to beat New Orleans. Then you knew 2-minute Tommy was ready.
You're looking at the most proficient passer in the NFC 1 year ago, led in total yardage and completions and in attempts. But you're wondering about the Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense. They only allowed, John, 10 touchdown passes through the air in all of the 81 season. Word from the sideline now, Tony Galbraith has injured his ankle. So on 2nd down and 10, Kramer says Rashad to the left side, Sammy White to the right side. Ricky Young is in there. This is the pitch back to Ted Brown. He's got blocking in front of him across the 25, near the 20-yard line, and very close to first down yardage. Norris Thomas, the 6-year pro out of Southern Mississippi, in there on the tackle. Good blocking over on that right side. Sammy White, the wide receiver, stays right with the block.
Also a good fake here to number 34. Nice work by the quarterback. Pitches out. Yeah, watch the block. You see the wide receiver holding on, at least screening the defensive man so that Ted Brown can get some extra yards.
3rd down, short yardage situation once again. So checking in is number 82 for the Minnesota Vikings. That is Bob Brewer. And checking out one of the wide receivers. Also Dave Huffman, 56. 4-year man from Notre Dame checks in on the right side. They line up strong side right. Sometimes they'll run Sensor in motion from this formation. Ted Brown. 1st down, Minnesota. 3-0 Tampa Bay on top over the Minnesota Vikings. We've got 7:14 left to go, and a very impressive drive by Minnesota. Another score from Cincinnati, John Dockery. Jim Breach, a field goal from 43 yards out, and the Bengals picked up right where they left off at the end of last year. A 10-0 lead over Houston now in the 2nd quarter.
They're looking to go back to the Super Bowl again. They'll be tough in that division. Of course, you can never count out Pittsburgh, and Cleveland's got to be improved also, especially with Banks and Cousineau playing defense.
You've got the Browns playing at Seattle, and Jim Zorn will not start at quarterback later this afternoon.
Thank you, gentlemen.
10 Minnesota from the 19-yard line. Slot to the left side. Ted Brown with lone setback. Kramer to throw on 1st down. Got his man wide open to Sammy White inside the 5, and he will shovel it off to Ahmad Rashad. And this is exactly what we talked about yesterday. As as we looked at film over the Viking complex, we said, is that the kind of a move that you can coach an athlete, or is that just instinct?
That reminds me of some of the schoolyard plays that you draw on the ground. Okay, you go down 15 yards, I'll hit you, then I'll come trailing behind you, but there's a flag down.
It's against Tampa Bay, the preliminary indication from Gene Barth, the official. Matt Blair down on the sideline, number 59, waving his big white towel over his head, bringing this crowd to life.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 76 defense, first down.
Let's take another look. The personal foul is called on Tim Irwin, the defensive tackle. Here's the look now. Sammy White goes inside, then breaks to the outside. You see the safety turned around. White is wide open. How strong is Sammy White? We'll take a look how long he stays on his feet. Then the heads-up play, the shovel pass off to Ahmad Rashad, and Rashad looks for some running room, and then the unnecessary roughness.
That's questionable call. He was still on his feet. Who knows whether the whistle had blown or not.
From the 3-yard line, Kramer now with an audible as he's got Ricky Young and Ted Brown in the backfield. Minnesota. Ricky Young, the veteran out of Jackson State, and the Vikings go up 6-3. Minnesota goes 77 yards in 12 plays. Ricky Young caps it off with a 3-yard touchdown scamper. And now the try for point. Rick Danmeyer, who was perfect, continues that streak. And the Vikings grab the lead 7-3. Let's look at that touchdown. They kind of, well, in the schoolyard, this used to be called a little sucker play.
That's right. They don't even block the defense here. It's just a fake. Ricky Young comes across. He comes into the end zone for the touchdown. Puts the Vikes up 7-3.
6:31 left to go in the first half. Minnesota 7, Tampa Bay 3.
If you run a small business, profits can get squeezed when inventory doesn't match up with production. What can help is a visit to an IBM personal computer dealer. Once you've explained the kind of help you need, a computer expert will show you the system that's right for you, show you how simple it is to get started, and how IBM's easy-to-follow instructions and library of business and management software can help you solve your problems and give you a tool for modern times. The IBM personal computer. Not only can it help you plan ahead, it'll balance your books and give you more time to make dough. And the cost? That's the icing on the cake. Your own IBM personal computer. Try it at a store near you.
There you see our scores. The Vikings have grabbed the lead with 6:31 left to go in the first half. Number 7, the man who just put it on through and maintained his perfect streak. Rick Danmeyer with a point after, about set to tee it up from the 35-yard line. Morton, number 1. Smith, number 22, back deep for the Buccaneers. Danmeyer, a short, high kick, fielded by Morton at the 6. Convoy to the 20, flag on the play. This will come back. We'll wait for the official indication from Gene Barth, but usually on the kickoff like that, it indicates a clip or a holding call. Steve Jordan, number 83, in there on the tackle defensively for the specialty teams of the Minnesota Vikings. As you look at his concerned John McKay, head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Bill Nelson, former quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. And there's Bud Grant. Won't need any heaters on the sideline here inside.
I wonder if you'll allow ice packs.
Block above the waist from the rear. Number 51 on the run back. First down.
You heard the call, number 51, Dana Nofsinger. Illegal block above the waist from the rear on the kickoff. There's the scoring drive. Minnesota, 12 plays, 77 yards, a 3-yard touchdown run by Ricky Young, the point after by Danmeyer. 7-3. Minnesota goes up by 4 over Tampa Bay. They scored first on a 51-yard field goal by Bill Capiz. Doug Williams will not wait. Over the middle, incomplete, intended for Gordon Jones down at the 30-yard line. Good move that time by Doug Williams to evade the onrushing front 3, actually, but they sent the linebacker that time to the Minnesota Vikings, and Gordon Jones was open.
Doug Williams is so big and strong, and John McKay has stuck with Bud Williams as you look along the sidelines all these years and always believed that he would be a fine quarterback in the NFL, and I think it's showing off now. Doug Williams, of course, very big and strong, pulled the ball down, but couldn't find a wide receiver open.
Theo Bell out wide to the left side. Kevin House put out wide to the right side. Vikings playing bump and run. They come up tight on both wide receivers. Second down and 10 for Doug Williams and Tampa Bay. Inside handoff. Not much doing. They fight their way forward up near the 15-yard line. Freddie McNeil in there on the hit. And it'll be third down and be careful time for Tampa Bay. Jimmy Owens in there on the tackle. Next Sunday, it's a doubleheader weekend right here on CBS Sports. You'll see the Dallas Cowboys and the St. Louis Cardinals first. That will be followed by either the San Francisco 49ers playing the Denver Broncos, the Washington Redskins taking on these Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Rams. And speaking of the Rams, Burt Jones has just thrown to Mike Barber an 8-yard scoring strike of, that makes it now 17-0. Los Angeles on top over Green Bay. Third down, 5 yards to go, slot to the left side, House to the near side. They need 5. Williams in trouble. You see how strong he is. Incomplete. Jimmy Giles had it in his hands up near the 25. That would have been a first down, but he couldn't quite hang on, and a flag is down in the backfield of Tampa Bay. This might be roughing the passer. Or it could be holding against Tampa Bay. You know, you take a look at the Rams, John Dockery. Burt Jones, first year, throws a touchdown pass. You've got a lot of, well, some reclamation projects going on at Anaheim.
74 offense, holding, penalty refused, fourth down.
Gene Sanders, the culprit. Vikings obviously will refuse the penalty and take the football. Mike Farmer, outstanding tight end from Houston, and he's going to help that Rams team offensively.
And Burt Jones, of course, will also, as you look at Eddie Payton back deep for the Vikings, who look like they'll get good field position from this punt. Of course, punting in the dome, you tend to get a little bit extra distance.
Eddie Payton awaits the kick of Larry Swider. Swider back at his own goal line. Payton standing back at the 40-yard line of the Vikings, so they should get excellent field position. Rush is on. The Vikings, of course, very good on the specialty team. Look out. Eddie Payton, and that's why the crowd comes alive. Big block thrown back at the 50-yard line. And a Minnesota Viking is injured. Jeff Davis finally came up, the rookie out of Clemson, defending national champions for the Tigers of Coach Danny Ford. And an injury down at the 50-yard line. Watch the block that frees Eddie Payton.
Eddie Payton has the reckless abandon that every good punt returner needs. Watch him just go through this little bit of a hole here. Keeps his balance, stays up, gives the Vikings good field position.
And the injured Viking that's down is number 49, Keith Nord. We'll be back. The Vikings lead by 4.
Toyota presents a truck that gives you the feeling.
The feeling that you got your money's worth.
The Toyota Standard truck with the biggest engine in its class, with 100 horses of pulling power, 1,400 pounds of carrying power. This Toyota truck was built to last.
And mister, there's a real comfortable ride built into this truck.
Now you got the feeling.
Somebody did it right.
I was known as one of the meanest players in hockey, but I didn't deserve that, right? I'm just a nice guy who comes in and has a few light beers from Miller with the boys. A Pussycat who drinks light because it's less filling, and it tastes great. Really, if I was a nasty player, may a lightning bolt come down and strike this very spot.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer. And less.
The irrepressible Jimmy Connors meets the man who stopped John McEnroe, Yvonne Lendl. The men's final of the U.S. Open Tennis Championships on CBS Sports next.
Jim Kelly, John Dockery back at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. The first game in this beautiful facility in the heart of downtown Minneapolis. Vikings on top over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 7-3. We've got 5:16 left to go in the first half. Tommy Kramer, 5 out of 8 in the passing department, 57 yards. Sends Ahmad Rashad wide to the left side. Sammy White to the top of your screen to the right side. The backs are number 34, Ricky Young. He has a 3-yard touchdown run. And number 23, Teddy Brown. Teddy Brown on the receiving end, inside the 35, fights his way down to about the 34-yard line before Jeff Davis again, a 5th-round draft pick. The rookie out of Clemson makes the hit, along with a 3rd-year veteran Andy Hawkins, a 10th-round pick out of Texas A&I.
Ted Brown is just so good as you look at third in the NFL in pass receptions with 83. He led the Vikings. He also had 694 yards and 2 touchdowns on those receptions.
If there's any surprise at all, I think, John, for the Vikings offensively so far in this football game, the fact they've only gone to their outstanding tight end, Joe Sensor. On one occasion, that ball was thrown a little bit high by Tommy Kramer. Second down and 7. This is Sensor in motion at the top of your screen. Sensor is wide open. The ball was thrown behind him, and you can see the frustration on Tommy Kramer. He can't believe he missed him. He was wide open.
Does Tommy Kramer have a headset? Did he hear you talking about Joe Sensor not getting the ball and decide to go that direction?
Watched all those films yesterday.
Well, of course, you know, you think of tight ends in the NFL and you think of Ross in Cincinnati and, of course, Kellen Winslow. But this gentleman in his third year out of Westchester State has to be one of the best in the NFL. 79 receptions last year for over 1,000 yards. Simply a spectacular tight end.
Pretty good tight end on the other side, too. Double number 88, Jimmy Giles for the Buccaneers. Jimmy's got his own limousine service down in Tampa Bay.
Jimmy Giles' first-class limo service.
Fleet of 5 with lots more available as needed. Third down and 7 from the shotgun. Kramer, flood to the right side. Shovel pass incomplete. Well, he's got it. Sensor took it right away. There is a great play by Joe Sensor. Dave Logan started to bat the ball loose, the fourth-year pro out of Pittsburgh, and Joe Sensor with those big shovel-like hands somehow managed to grab it in. That's a very dangerous ball to throw.
It's one of those shuffle passes where Sensor comes behind the line. Hey, watch Sensor here. Comes behind the line of scrimmage. Here, Logan grabs onto him, and Logan's a big man, 6'2", 250. Sensor somehow gets loose, holds onto the ball, makes a great catch.
Punting situation for the Vikings, however, faced on 4th down and 8. Back deep, number 21 is Johnny Holt, fine specialty team man for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They'll kick it away from inside the 50-yard line. Of course, the key is whether or not they get that coffin corner. He spirals it to the near sideline. Good coverage by the Vikings. Down inside the 5-yard line on a spectacular play by number 49, Keith Nord, who was injured on that last punt return by Eddie Murray. He came back in. Great kick, good special teams coverage, and the Buccaneers in a hole. They'll start 1st and 10 from their own 3-yard line, and they trail the Vikings 7-3.
Since it was the only way to play Pac-Man on my TV, I got a video game system from Atari. Am I glad? Because it's also the only way to play Haunted House. It's almost too spooky, especially in the dark. An Atari system's also the only way to play Defender at home. I can't think of a faster game, can you? Think fast. Then there's Yar's Revenge, an Atari original. Only Atari lets me play all these great home video games. Wonder what they've got waiting in the wings.
The wood duck, one of nature's most beautiful waterfowl, was once threatened by civilization destroying its nesting sites. Then concerned citizens started erecting artificial nests, like this one, made of a durable plastic invented by Phillips Petroleum. So slick it's almost predator-proof. It's helped the wood duck today become one of the most abundant species of waterfowl in North America. Caring for your car and more. That's performance from Phillips Petroleum.
Around the NFL today, the Falcons, a 15-yard run by William Andrews, leading the New York Giants in the second quarter. The Rams are blitzing the Packers 17-0. Jones has a touchdown pass to Mike Barber. Cincinnati on the top end, 10-0. Jim Breach has added a 43-yard field goal to a Ken Anderson touchdown toss to Dan Ross of 18 yards. Kansas City has now fallen behind Buffalo. Ferguson threw a 30-yard touchdown pass to Frank Lewis. Nick Lowry has added another field goal. Buffalo on top by a point over Kansas City. 1st and 10. Tampa Bay, they keep it on the ground. Be careful territory. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage as they go to the 2 tight end alignment, Jimmy Giles and Jim Obradovic. The Detroit Lions still leading the Chicago Bears by a score of 7-0. That's in the second quarter now. Eric Kipple, a 5-yard scoring strike to David Hill. The Eagles on top 10-0 over the Washington Redskins. Tony Franklin has added a 44-yard field goal to a Wilbert Montgomery 4-yard run. Eagles 10, Washington 0. St. Louis has scored first against New Orleans. Wayne Morris, a 1-yard plunge, and the other scores we have given you. Gordon Jones, Gerald Carter are the wide receivers. Carter to the near side of your screen. Gordon Jones to the top. Second down, batted in the air. Picked off by the Vikings at the 7-yard line. 1st and goal, Minnesota. White, number 72, the 7-year pro out of Oklahoma State. Watch Williams, the straight drop. Here comes White, who gets his hand on it, and there is Studwell with a great dive, and he manages to maintain possession, and it is first and goal for Minnesota.
Both White and number 79, Doug Martin, put pressure on Williams, who's 6'4", and usually can throw over those rushing linemen. That time it's tipped. Vikings have great field position.
John, this is one thing that Bud Grant wanted the Vikings to do, improve on their interceptions. They only had 16 all of last year. They start out the season with 1 here in the first half against Tampa Bay. From the 7-yard line, Ahmad Rashad to the bottom of your screen. They come back with that little delay to the left. The ball is stripped loose of Ted Brown. A mad scramble for it, and Tampa Bay piles on top of the football. The Vikings turn it right back. Tampa Bay gets a big break, and the rookie out of Clemson, Jeff Davis, pounces on that pigskin up near the 24-yard line.
We talked about aggressive defense by Tampa. Here they come, and they make a big play to get that ball back. That's number 54. Look at that. Ted Brown gets the ball here. He's popped. That's big Leroy Selman pushing around the offensive lineman. Gets a hold of Brown. The ball comes loose. Finally, in the scramble, Tampa Bay comes up to it.
So Jeff Davis, the rookie out of Clemson, defending NCAA champions, comes up with a fumble recovery for the Bucs. They trail it by 4.
At Ford Motor Company, quality is job one. This is one of 800 employee involvement groups formed by Ford and the UAW.
This is real improvement here.
This group reviewed the quality of the new 1983 Mercury Marquis before you could even buy one.
Oh, that's going to be much better than we had before.
Employee involvement, another reason the quality of our cars has improved an average 48% since 1980.
At Ford, quality is job one.
It's going to be a great trip. Hi. Ooh, hey, hi.
No matter where people go, Conoco helps them get there. Our motor oils protect trucks over the long haul and farm equipment against the worst conditions.
Have a good trip.
A Conoco lubricant even protects the space shuttle. We use the same technology to make super and all-season motor oils for your car. Conoco, hottest brand going.
Guess who's back by popular demand?
We'll never be made to look poor and trashy again.
Filthy Rich premieres Wednesday, October 6th.
There's our score here at the Hubert Humphrey Metrodome. The Vikings on top over the Buccaneers 7-3. We've got 2:56 left to go in the first half. First and 10 Tampa Bay after the fumble recovery. Pitch back. Goes to Wilder, slashing across the left side up near the 30-yard line. A pickup of about 4.5, maybe 5 yards on the play. It'll bring up second down and 5 as Tampa Bay content now to keep it on the ground. The 3rd-year pro out of LSU, Willie Teal, the man in there on the hit. There's an ad in Philadelphia. The Redskins get on the board. A touchdown scoring strike from Joe Theismann of 5 yards to Art Monk, and the Eagles lead it by a field goal. The difference right now, Tony Franklin's toe. We'll have all the scores and highlights coming up with Brent Musburger and Irv Cross. We check the NFL today at halftime. Scores and highlights with Brett and Irv coming up in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So much time is left here in the first half. They reverse it in good pursuit by the Vikings. Nothing doing. They'll lose a yard. It'll be 3rd down and 6. Dennis Johnson, the 4th-year pro out of USC, stayed at home that time. Right inside linebacker. Good pursuit. And it's a passing situation now for Doug Williams.
It was important for Tampa Bay to get the ball back on that recovery. You know, really, in this game so far, special teams have played an important part. Look at Minnesota leading 7-3.
Clock winding down. We're at the 2-minute warning. The Bucs have a field goal. The Vikings have a touchdown. We've got 2 minutes left to go in the first half.
The land torn by conflict. Jacqueline Bissett is the woman who has never known war. Ben Gazzara, Richard Roundtree, and Toshiro Mifune are the men who have never known anything else. And Sir Laurence Olivier is General Douglas MacArthur, who guided their destinies to a place called Incheon, rated PG. Starts Friday. Check newspapers for a theater near you.
You called about a copier.
But I don't have much space.
You need a DC-121 plain paper copier. Fits anywhere.
I need lots of different copies.
The DC-121's small, but it's fast.
But I don't have much money.
No other copier gives you all these features at the same low price. And when you buy a Mita copier, you get your own personal Mita man or woman.
Thank Mita for small favors.
Mita, full-service copiers.
Vikings lead it by 4. 2 minutes left to go in the first half. Tampa Bay has the football after Jeff Davis, the rookie out of Clemson, recovered. John, somewhat of a surprise, even though both teams felt if they could hold the other team to 17 points, they would win this football game. A lot of people expected a very high-scoring game. Instead, what we have is a 7-3 game. Both defenses very solid early.
Both defenses wanting to put more pressure. You see the defensive line, 4 defensive linemen for the Vikes now to come with that pressure on Doug Williams.
Slot to the top of your screen. Doug Williams falls down, manages to get the ball off. It's an incompleted pass. Some people, the Viking fans notably, thought it might have been a lateral, but it was intended for James Wilder, the second-year back out of Missouri. Take another look and watch Williams, who is falling backwards even as he gets the football. He starts the back pedal, he takes one step, and then down he goes.
Looks like he tripped over the left guard's foot there. Sean Farrell's foot still has an opportunity to throw the ball because he wasn't down by a defensive player. It's going forward, so it's an incomplete pass.
This is something the Vikings were talking about yesterday at the Max Winters complex as we were talking with him. The strength of there you look, Doug Williams right there, his ability to still throw the football even when he's about to go down in his backside. Swider to kick it away. Eddie Payton, the electrifying punt returner for the Vikings. A beautiful kick by Swider sends Payton back to the 15-yard line. Looks for some blockers. Got it set up on the left side, but he can't get outside. Now bounces off 3 men and will go out of bounds at the 23-yard line. Eddie Payton would not go down.
Does Eddie Payton remind you of a billiard ball on a pool table, just bouncing off and pushing people? Eddie. Oh, my goodness, look at that. 10th in the NFC in punt returns, an 8-yard average last year in 1981. Of course, Eddie Payton, not a big man, only 5'6", 179, pushing around some of those bigger guys. Eddie, watch yourself.
A 56-yard punt by Swider for the Buccaneers. Speaking of Eddie Payton, his brother Walter, of course, for the Bears. Chicago has finally scored in the second quarter, 6:28 to go, on a 2-yard touchdown run by former Penn Stater Matt Suhey. So the Bears 7, the Detroit Lions 7. Detroit got their score on a 5-yard scoring strike. Eric Hipple to David Hill. They're knotted up 7-all, 6:28 left to go in the second quarter in Detroit. First and 10 Minnesota. They'll unveil that passing offense. Kramer to air it out right away. Big rush by the Buccaneers. Kramer will do the baseball slide as soon as some Buccaneers get up, and down he goes around the 31-yard line, close to first down yardage, second down and 8, and tempers Flair for the second straight play.
Quarterbacks, you tend not to think of them as fighters. And look at this, Tommy Kramer, a fiery competitor. I've always felt that about good quarterbacks, that they had to have that spirit.
Well, Kramer is 6'2", 205, and Andy Hawkins is 6'2", 230. And they go to the quick offense, clock winding down, 1:20 to go. You can see Kramer audibilizing now, going outside. Got Sensor, and Sensor will wisely go out of bounds. All of a sudden on the last 3 plays, and there is a flag. I was just going to say on the last 3 plays, the tempers have been flaring. It started with the Eddie Murray punt return, or the Eddie Payton punt return. Then on the succeeding play, Tommy Kramer gets into it with Andy Hawkins, and now Hugh Green and Joe Sensor. You can see Tommy Kramer is really hot.
Kramer got hot. Watch Kramer here. He gets a lot of pressure, throws the ball, runs with the ball. This is the play before where he's running with the ball. Doesn't go down. We expected to see him go down a little bit sooner. Tries to get that extra yardage. He gets up and they start pushing. Might have gotten popped across the top of the helmet by a foot.
Now that was the play before. On the last play, Joe Sensor was wrestled out of bounds. The flag went up immediately, and the Viking bench is enraged. Here's Gene Barth, the referee.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 81 offense, still second down.
It might have been Joe Sensor retaliating on Hugh Green. The way that whole play developed, Joe Sensor came out, he pushed Hugh Green, he pushed off him. You see Sensor down to the left of your screen here. He pushed off Hugh Green. That made Hugh Green very, very angry, so he gives him a little extra hit along the sideline. Sensor then gets up and kicks him. Hugh Green doesn't like that. There's a little words on the sidelines, and that's the reason for the penalty.
Look at Dills. Look at Steve Dills of the Vikings. He couldn't believe the call. He said, wait a minute, Green threw my guy halfway through the artificial surface here.
Does she understand all of this? Does she care about all of this? Certainly a non-violent pacifist.
One of the parkettes here in Minnesota. Gene Barth and the officials having a conclave down at the 20-yard line. Tempers flaring on the last 3 plays. Ahmad Rashad goes over to get his 2 cents worth.
It was a continuous action foul. They made the first down, and then we enforced the 15-yard penalty. It'll be first and 25. First and 25.
That'll please the sellout crowd here.
I'm glad he explained it to us. Okay, so it's First and 25, continuous action was the call. The importance of this game. One of the reasons we talked about it earlier. Okay, these teams have traded Central Division championships for the last 4 years. This is an important game. How many times did McKay tell us yesterday it's in our division? If you win in your division, the rest will take care of itself. This could be a preview, and Bud Grant feels the same way. This could be a preview of what's going to happen in the Central Division. Of course, Detroit has to be a factor also. Green Bay, I'm not so sure. They're having their troubles today with Los Angeles.
You take a look at the series between the Vikings and the Buccaneers. Minnesota having won 6 games and lost 3, but Minnesota has won 4 of the last 5. Last year they split. Tampa Bay beat the Vikings 21-13 at home. That was on the opening day at Tampa Bay. The Vikings came back and beat the Buccaneers by a score of 25-10 at Metropolitan Stadium.
Of course, Tommy Kramer didn't play in that game. Steve Dill did. He completed 37 passes in 66 attempts. And Neil Cozy, of course, picked up that last second interception, ran for a touchdown of 83 yards to seal the victory last year for Tampa.
On first and 25, Tommy Kramer sets the Vikings down with 1:11 left to go. Ted Brown is the lone setback. Sammy White, Ahmad Rashad in the slot formation to the left side. And Ted Brown, with a little bit of running room, will get it across the 25 to the 27. And perhaps Tommy Kramer is content now, or Bud Grant, to keep it on the ground and not risk any kind of a turnover right here, because things have been seesawing back and forth in the last 5 minutes. Tackle made by Leroy Selman, number 63. Vikings take a timeout. 1:05 to play in the first half. Minnesota leads Tampa by 4.
What happens to the child nobody wants? As they grow older, their chances for adoption grow slimmer. He's Joe Sensor of the Minnesota Vikings. He knows how these children feel. As a child, he lost one of his parents and was in an orphanage for 6 years.
I can feel what some of these kids are feeling. I know what it feels like when sometimes you don't feel loved and you don't feel cared. And it's a very hurt feeling.
Today, as a United Way volunteer, he knows there are 437 United Ways in Minnesota making funds available to help these children through foster care and adoption.
It's a sad thing to see these kids. It's not their fault that they're in situations like this, and we hope that people realize that and help us help them.
Let's give every child our love and understanding. Let's give the United Way.
Minnesota has used one of their 3 timeouts. They have 2 remaining. They've got a 4-point lead, as you see. Bill Capice, a 51-yard field goal. That ties the longest field goal in the Buccaneers record book, hit by Bill Capice. That came in the first quarter. Vikings added a 3-yard touchdown run by Ricky Young, and that's where we are right now. Leo Lewis, a second-year pro out of Missouri, a free agent at the top of your screen. Slot to the left side. Sammy White inside. Ahmad Rashad outside. Ted Brown in the backfield. Kramer looks now at 2nd down and 19. Blockers in front of him. And I would think, John, that Bud Grant has said, well, let's not make any mistakes and take this 4-point lead in at halftime. Rather surprising when you've got the most potent offense in the NFC in terms of passing.
And you have your healthy quarterback who knows how to pick out his receivers, and you have guys like Teddy Brown coming out of the backfield, Darren Nelson, who can catch that short, safe pass and then run with it for big yardage.
Of course, it also shows a great deal of respect for the Tampa Bay defense. Throwing underneath Joe Sensor, but he will be short of first down yardage up at the 44. They needed to get to the 46, 30, 29, and so forth, as we're inside of 30 now left in the first half. And let's see what Tampa Bay will do. Vikings content to let the clock run down. Crowd says, why don't you go for the first down? And Bud Grant says, you're not the head coach. Your job wouldn't be on the line.
No, I think it's wise right now not to do anything foolish. Who knows? Kramer just looks like he's going to let the clock run out. Tampa doesn't want to call a timeout. They're both content to go into the locker room and plan for the second half. Only a 4-point difference.
So what many expected to be a wide-open shootout, some thought 28 points would be needed to win this football game. We go out at halftime with only 10 points having been scored. Minnesota has a 3-yard touchdown run from Ricky Young. Tampa Bay has a 51-yard field goal from Bill Capice. That's where we are at halftime. Somewhat of a surprise.
Well, it takes a little while. Preseason, of course, is a place where you look at a lot of players and you get your team ready, but offenses take a little more time to get finely tuned than defenses. It looks like right here, both these defenses, Tampa Bay and Minnesota, not traditionally great defensive teams, are playing well against 2 good offensive teams.
Don't forget, we'll be going to New York. Brent Musburger, Irv Cross standing by with all the scores and highlights around the NFL today. Some very interesting interesting contest going on, and we'll be going to New York in just a few seconds. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers scored first. The Vikings scored last. Each team scoring in the quarter. It's a big division battle, the Vikings and the Buccaneers. Now to New York, here's Brent Musburger.
Around here, well, I guess we take work about as serious as anybody else. But I'll tell you something, boy, come sundown, ain't nobody more serious about having a good time.
Welcome to Miller time. It's all yours and it's all mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer for what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller time.
The best beer for the best time of the day. Miller High Life.
Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer for what you have in mind. Oh, welcome, welcome to Miller time, yours and mine.
From the leading edge of technology comes a new generation of video electronics from Zenith. At the touch of a button, the giant screen rises and you enjoy Space Screen 45 TV. Push a space phone button and turn your TV into a telephone. Produce a movie with your VCR and play it back on Zenith's new component TV system with stereo capability. Video high-tech, part of the new generation from Zenith, where the quality goes in before the name goes on.
20 years ago, a young campus reporter and a nationally renowned football coach first met. Now they're back together again. The NCAA Today on CBS Sports. Brent Musburger at the anchor desk. Ara Persigan's insightful analysis. Pat O'Brien in the field. The kind of pregame show you've come to expect from CBS Sports. Keeping you up to the minute on what's happening in college football. The special skills that set CBS Sports apart. The NCAA Today on CBS Sports.
There's our score at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome here in Minneapolis.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Honda. On a drive with engineering, quality, and value, Honda, we make it simple. IBM.
Being entertained here at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome by Mr. George Benson, who is singing The Greatest Love of All as part of our Tribute to Children theme at halftime. George Benson, of course, whose Breezin' album is the highest-selling jazz album of all time. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Kelly. John Dockery alongside, 7-3 at halftime. Vikings on top over Tampa Bay. Buccaneers scored first on a 51-yard field goal by Bill Capice. Then the Vikings got on the board on a 3-yard touchdown run by Ricky Young, and that's where we are at halftime. We thought a much higher-scoring football game, John. So far, the defense has been very solid.
Really surprising. I mean, when you look at an offense with receivers like Rashad White and Joe Sensor, Darren Nelson, of course, Tommy Kramer throwing the ball, you're really surprised that Minnesota would only score 7, but Tampa Bay's defense is much better than it was in previous years. And also, Doug Williams on the other side of the coin thought he'd be able to put some points on the board. Minnesota's playing a lot more aggressively. Special teams, I think, also important. Eddie Payton, 2 good returns, a kickoff and a punt return. Good position for the Vikes. Coleman with that punt into the corner. That Knopf downed on the 4-yard line. Also good field position.
Talk about Minnesota on defense. They wanted to improve their interception ratio. They only had 16 a year ago. They did that. They came up with one at a key time in the first half. Let's take a look now at the first half statistics. You can see the Minnesota Vikings with 9 first downs. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers with 5 yards rushing. The Vikings with a 35-yard advantage. Yards passing. And there is a big surprise, John. The fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have outpassed Tommy Kramer, who led the NFC in total yardage last year.
Certainly that's Kramer's strength, and it is a little bit of a surprise. Neither team dominating. Time of possession, look at how close it is. So really we have a balanced game going for us offensively and defensively. rivalry here can go either way with only a 4-point difference.
And each team with one turnover. The Bucks with a fumble recovery. The Vikings with an interception. Time of possession, though, sometimes can be deceptive. It's really not how long you have the football. It's what you do with it when you've got it. As you look now at Tommy Kramer warming up over on the Vikings sideline, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have just come out through the tunnel, and they are lining up on the far sideline. We're 7-3 at halftime. A big game for both teams on the opening day because, of course, these two teams have alternated as NFC's division champions over the last 4 years. There's our quarterback comparison in the first half. Doug Williams, 7 out of 14 for 88 yards. Tommy Kramer, 9 out of 13 for 76 yards. Doug Williams with one interception, but that interception was not the quarterback's fault. It was batted free at the line of scrimmage and picked off by Scott Studwell for the Minnesota Vikings. So 7-3 at halftime, Minnesota on top. Of course, these two teams split a year ago. Tampa Bay won on the opening day season down at Tampa Bay, and Minnesota won their game here at Metropolitan Stadium. Not here at Metropolitan Stadium, here at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. The Met Stadium, about 20 minutes from here, out near the airport, of course, not in use any longer. This is the new home of the Minnesota Vikings, also of the Minnesota Twins baseball team. There is the dome. We are indoors. No more heaters on the sideline for the visiting teams. The home team, the Vikings, of course, Bud Grant not allowed. And the commissioner, Mr. Pete Rozelle, is here to open up the 5th dome stadium in the National Football League.
62,000 strong, 14,000 more as you look at Bud Grant along the sideline than the old Met. A beautiful facility, $55 million. As you mentioned, the 5th in the NFL. Of course, Detroit, Seattle, New Orleans, Houston, the other dome stadiums in the league.
Bill Capice all set to tee it up at the 35-yard line. Back deep is Eddie Payton, who's electrified the crowd on at least one occasion here this afternoon. Vikings on top, 7-3. We've got 30 minutes left in regulation. The opening game of the 63rd season in the National Football League. 28 teams doing battle and all hoping to get to the Super Bowl in the Rose Bowl out in Pasadena. Capice approaches, tees it up, a high end-over-end kick, fielded by the Vikings down at the 1-yard line. To the 15, close to the 20-yard line, and not much more for number 49, Keith Nord. Fine specialty teams performer for the Vikings. So Tommy Kramer, Ahmad Rashad, Sammy White and company, and the number 1 draft pick, Darren Nelson out of Stanford, take the field now for Bud Grant. Take a look at the receiving department for the Minnesota Vikings. Rashad had 1 catch for 5 yards. Eddie Brown out of the backfield, 2 catches for 10. White had 1 grab. Sammy White for 13. Joe Sensor had 3 for 16, but 2 of those came late. And Tony Galbraith had 2 catches for 29 yards. 1st and 10, Minnesota at the 19-yard line. Ted Brown, 23 in the backfield, along with their number 1 draft pick, Darren Nelson. Slot formation to the left side. Kramer sets the Vikings down. Straight ahead. Across the 20, up near the 21-yard line, goes Teddy Brown, the veteran out of North Carolina. Tar Heels, of course, on the short end of the Pittsburgh Panthers, 7-6, as college football returned to CBS last Thursday night. Lindsey Nelson did the play-by-play. You know, he did the play-by-play back in 1963, the last college game, an Army and Navy play. Ahmad Rashad out to the left side, Sammy White to the right side. 2nd down, 8 yards to go. Bucks stay in that 3-4 defense. They'll like to send a linebacker. Kramer over the middle. He's got Sensor, and Sensor has the ball stripped free up at about the 28-yard line. Good pressure that time put on by number 65 for the Buccaneers. Looping around that right end, Dave Stalls.
Joe Sensor got stripped of that ball, and I guess the ruling was that he didn't have possession. He's getting up very slowly, a little bit shaken on the play.
Cecil Johnson, the man who stripped the ball loose, the 6-year pro out of Pittsburgh, free agent. So it'll bring up 3rd down and 7. You can see 3rd down conversions for both teams. Somewhat surprising that the Vikings aren't a little bit more proficient, given their excellent short passing game. Sammy White, Ahmad Rashad split out left and right. Backs are split for Kramer, straight drop. Bucks send a linebacker, Kramer in trouble, and down he goes. And a flag on the play, down at the 25-yard line. Leroy Selman, the man that got to Tommy Kramer. Hugh Green and Joe Sensor going at it, tooth and nail over at the top of the screen. And here is Gene Barth. It is holding, defensive holding against Hugh Green. He is not happy at that call at all.
It's it's interesting. We talked to Hugh Green yesterday. As you look at Tommy Kramer, and Hugh Green told us that he felt that he could cover out of the backfield as we listened for the call. It is number 53, Hugh Green, as you said. And you said last year he learned the game. He learned how to be a complete linebacker. Of course, at Pittsburgh, he was a defensive end, and he's going to be used more as a rusher this year. But he feels that he's comfortable. He knows the pro system now, and now he can apply himself to the next step of his development, that of going to the Pro Bowl.
Tampa Bay on the short end, 7-3 to the Minnesota Vikings. The Buccaneers, by the way, have won 3 consecutive opening day games. They beat Detroit in 79, Cincinnati in 80, and they beat the Vikings 21-13 in Tampa Bay 1 year ago today. 14:03 left to go in the third quarter. Vikes on 1st and 10. Darren Nelson with running room. Slashes up close to the 30-yard line. Pickup of about 4. It'll bring up 2nd down and 6. The 4th-year pro out of Pittsburgh, David Logan, the big nose tackle, number 76 in there. And, of course, as we talked earlier on the telecast, also the nose tackle position, Charlie Johnson, acquired by the Minnesota Vikings this year, and they expect he'll be a big help. Former All-Pro for the Philadelphia Eagles. They go to the double tight end alignment now. Joe Sensor and Bob Brewer in there. Brewer, the 4-year man, free agent, signed in 1980. In there. Lone setback for the Minnesota Vikings. Teddy Brown gets the call. Slashing to the right side, gets away from one Tampa Bay and up to the 35-yard line. So Minnesota keeps it on the ground. Somewhat of a surprise, John Dockery.
Very much so, because last year they were the worst team in rushing the football in the NFL, averaging around 95 yards a game. In preseason, they were a little bit better. They averaged 117 yards. And last week, Nelson and Galbraith put on a good running show here in the last exhibition game. But the strength of the Minnesota Vikings is that controlled passing game. Tommy Kramer throwing to his backs, throwing to his tight end, and his good wide receivers.
Of course, Darren Nelson, the number 1 draft pick out of Stanford, adds that added dimension, and that's something that the Buccaneers have to respect on defense. And Bud Grant giving the rookie a good test here this afternoon. 3rd and 2, double tight end alignment. Ricky Young, he's got the touchdown run up near the 37-yard line, very close to first down yardage, perhaps the measurement. Tommy Kramer goes up and takes a look. No signal yet from Gene Barth, the referee.
And the way the game is going now, Jim, neither team has taken control of this game. It's really there to be had, with one team waiting for the big play to get the momentum. As you look at Bud Grant and his brain trust along the sidelines, neither team has taken control of the game at the moment.
Now they'll call for the measurement. It is that close. Ricky Young, the ball carrier in his 8th year out of Jackson State, came to the Vikings in a trade with the San Diego Chargers. And, of course, the Chargers have certainly tried to shore up their defense a little bit. They've added Tom Bass, former defensive coordinator for Tampa Bay.
Inches short.
Viking fans want Minnesota to go for it. Of course, fans always want you to go for it. And Bud Grant will. Interesting call early in the third quarter. Third quarter, the ball is up near the 36.5-yard line. They need less than the length of the football. Let's see if they'll go for it or go on the long count and try to draw Tampa Bay offside.
You have to admire it, and they went to the right side behind Tim Irwin, number 76. As you look at Grant along the sideline, sending in the play with Sammy White. Number 76, the second man year out of Tennessee for the Vikings, replaces a legend here, Ron Yeri, 14 years, number 73. Who can forget him, starting so many games at right tackle for the Minnesota Vikings. Gone this year to Los Angeles, looking for new challenges, playing behind some offensive linemen out there.
You saw John McKay, the Tampa Bay coach, on the sideline. He told us yesterday that he regards this opening day game as much more important than usual for several reasons. One, it's a division game in a division where the margin for error is growing smaller each and every year. He no longer thinks 9-7 will win the division title. He thinks maybe 11-5 this year. Tommy Kramer airs it out for Ahmad Rashad, tipped away by number 52 for the Bucs on a fine defensive play. Scott Brentley, 3rd-year pro out of Florida.
Sammy White was clearing out that time with Rashad coming back underneath there. Kramer waited a split second too long. Great play and good reaction by number 52, Scott Brantley, for the Tampa Bay Bucs.
John, another reason that Coach McKay thinks that this game is more important than ordinary. Minnesota, the proponent, as you've been talking about, the controlled passing game, and John has made some refined changes in his defense to try to stop such an attack. So he's really testing out this new Buccaneer defense against the high potent passing offense of Tommy Kramer and company. Darren Nelson, number 20, checks out. Number 34, Ricky Young, checks in for the Vikings on second down and 10 yards to go. 11-12 left to go in this third quarter. Minnesota up by 4, 7-3. Play action. Kramer comes back against the flow. And an excellent defensive play by Tampa Bay. In there with a big hit, Cecil Johnson, the free agent out of Pittsburgh. He was not fooled at all by the play action. He came up with a big hit against Teddy Brown.
Cecil Johnson, 5 interceptions in 1981, a big play guy, reads this very well, even though Kramer rolls the other way a little bit. Cecil Johnson, number 56, is getting blocked. That's number 72nd, is 67. Dennis Swilly, the center, coming out to block on him, plays off the block, makes a good play on Ted Brown.
Yeah, we're talking about the new look in the Tampa Bay defense. They played somewhat safe 3-4, the basic error-free 3-4. They would lay back and they would kind of wait, John, for the offense.
11:01.
Gene Barth is making a correction on the clock. It's at 10:48. It'll be run back to 11:01. He made a change in the defense. It's no longer the same 3-4. They'll send a linebacker blitzing. The reason for that is the game is changing in the NFL. The passing to the backs is becoming more wide open. He said, you now have to make something happen defensively. You can't allow the other team to control the ball, or you can tell your own offense to pack it up and go home.
And teams have gone to the playoffs on defense. Just look at the New York Giants last year.
Third down, 10 yards to go. Kramer, play action, reverse to Teddy Brown in all kinds of trouble. Now gets a block. Kramer throws a block. Ahmad Rashad comes over, but Teddy Brown does a lot of running and doesn't get back to the line of scrimmage. Neil Colsey, number 20, in there on the hit, the 8-year pro out of Ohio State. Thought for a moment Brown might lateral the ball back to Kramer. Kramer might look downfield for a wide receiver, but it wasn't to happen. So 3rd and 12, and Greg Coleman will come in and kick it away to number 21 for the Vikings, Johnny Holt, who is back deep awaiting this kick from Coleman. You see the stats on him so far this afternoon. Holt back at his own 25-yard line.
And it's interesting, Greg Coleman talking about the dome. He said, on the 8th day, God created the Vikings. On the 9th day, he created the dome. That was after he kicked a 70-yard punt in preseason. He loves it in here.
Coleman will go for the far sideline. He gets away at beauty. A spiraling Holt will chase down and have to carry out of bounds inside the 25 at the 23-yard line. However, we've got a flag all the way back upfield. It'll be roughing the punter against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Big break for the Vikings. They get the football back. We'll take another look. John McDonough, our director down in the truck, has another look from the end zone.
See if we can pick it up here. Coleman taking his time.
We'll take another look. John McDonough, our director down in the truck, has another look from the end zone.
See if we can pick it up here. Coleman taking his time.
Personal foul, warning to the kicker, 33 defense, first down.
It's one of those slight personal fouls. Coleman did a good job of spinning around like so many of the punters do these days. They go to acting school, come away with their degrees, and a penalty.
Kind of a silly penalty for the Buccaneers to take, but because it appeared as if the culprit wasn't really paying attention to where the leg of Coleman was. He could have avoided the punter, and thus no penalty. But now the Vikings have it first down and 10 yards to go at their own 40-yard line. 10:05 left to go in the third quarter, and a distraught coach John McKay on the sideline. Brown and Nelson are your running backs. Rashad to the near side, White to the top of your screen. First and 10 Minnesota. White comes in motion. And Kramer with a quick out. Rashad's got it up near the 45, but he is decked backwards immediately on a fine defensive play by Mike Washington, the 7-year pro out of Alabama. They like Washington and Norris Thomas on the corners, the Buccaneers do. One of the reasons, the fact that these two players are maturing, John, the fact they're able to blitz the linebackers more than they were last year.
Exactly, and number 40, Mike Washington, is in his 7th year out of Alabama. At that point in your career as a defensive back, you've learned pro football. You understand it mentally, physically, you're at your peak. So it's a good time for a defensive back around your 5th, 6th, 7th year.
One more pass completion to Ahmad Rashad, and he will move into 16th place on the all-time NFL receiving list. They used this play 3 times now. You can see turned the corner. The big block thrown, as you'll see, by number 23, Ted Brown.
I was just going to say his running mate, number 23, Ted Brown, makes this play by taking down the Tampa Bay linebacker. The left of your screen there, you see the linebacker, number 59, being taken down, slowed up. That's Andy Hawkins. Darren Nelson does the rest on his own. The man is in overdrive.
You know, we were talking about Ahmad Rashad moving into a tie for 16th place in the all-time NFL pass receiving list. He will tie a man who is coaching for Tampa Bay on the sidelines this afternoon, Boyd Dowler. First and 10, Minnesota inside Tampa Bay territory. Darren Nelson is wide open. Tommy Kramer's got him inside the 35 to the 30. A move to the outside by Darren Nelson, and that's why he's the number 1 draft pick. Darren Nelson out of Stanford inside the 24-yard line. First and 10, Minnesota.
He's just like electricity. Comes out of that backfield. Ted Brown led the way, cleared the way for him. Ted Brown will be the first man out of the backfield. Nelson will follow him. He'll be wide open, and when he gets the ball, watch this.
Play action to Ted Brown. The linebacker came and cleared that zone, and you can see Nelson. There's the move around one of the Buccaneers as he beats 54, Richard Wood, and finally, tackled by Tampa Bay. Richard Wood helped out on the tackle. Darren Nelson, big first down for Minnesota. From the 24 of the box. Got his man. Darren Nelson came right back to him. Picks up about 3 yards on the play. They strip him of the football, but not before the whistle had blown. Richard Wood in there in the tackle again. Right now, Darren Nelson, Tommy Kramer and company working over that right side.
You get a feeling that they're picking up the tempo, and we talked a lot about Darren Nelson. To understand how good he is, you have to realize that there were some fine backs in the draft, 6 or 7 taken in the first round. Guys like Marcus Allen, the Heisman Trophy winner, Walter Abercrombie, as he's coming out getting a standing ovation, Gerald Wilhite, Butch Wolford, Gerald Riggs, all good running backs. He was the first one taken in the draft.
Nelson did not catch a pass in the first half. Now he's caught 2 in a row on this drive. And, John, you have to go back to the roughing the punter penalty against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that allowed Minnesota to keep this drive alive. 6:53 and counting left to go in quarter number 3. On the cornerback, you take another look, and look at Tommy Kramer.
You have to wonder why Mike Washington let him inside. Perhaps number 34 inside was supposed to have help. Mike Washington didn't get it from number 34, Cedric Brown, the touchdown.
22-yard scoring strike. Sammy White on the receiving end, Tommy Kramer on the tossing end. All set for the extra point try. Dan Meyer, who's perfect in the preseason, keeps the streak alive once again. And the Vikings now go up on top over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by 11. Tampa Bay had a 51-yard field goal in the first quarter by Bill Capice. Since then, they've been held scoreless. The Vikings have added 2 touchdowns.
When I was looking for a small computer, I went to IBM because they know what a small, big company needs. I wanted data, word processing, and some word data processing. And they showed me a small computer to fit our budget. IBM even had a place to learn how to use it. That impressed me, us. And my good business sense even impressed my girlfriend, Charlotte.
IBM. Introducing another engineering wonder, the new 1982 Honda Accord. It handles better, and to use less energy, we've increased the gas mileage. We've improved the aerodynamics and made it quieter inside. We've also made it roomier. Any wonder the new Accord is so well engineered? After all, it's a Honda.
Honda, we make it simple.
Jim Kelly, John Dockery back at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. 6:48 left to go, and you see the scoring drive. Tommy Kramer hitting Sammy White as the Vikings went 81 yards in 14 plays. And, of course, the key play in the drive, John, had to be the roughing the punter penalty against Tampa Bay, a very costly penalty.
Because you sense that Tampa Bay was getting some momentum. The defense was playing well. We'll see if Doug Williams can get it back for Tampa Bay now.
Short kickoff by Dan Meyer. Morton Fields at the 14. Lots of running room, a wall of blocking Panthers look out. Had he gotten away from that one man, he had a convoy set up over on the left side. John Turner, number 27, the 5-year pro out of Miami of Florida, the man that made the ankle-like tackle. Otherwise, it would have been a foot race and off to the goal line for Tampa Bay. You look at Danmar. Doug Williams coming out at quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They trailed it by 11. 1st and 10 to go for the Buccaneers. Their own 30-yard line. Tommy Kramer so far, 13 of 20, 124 yards and 1 touchdown. Kevin House, Gordon Jones. Wide receivers in the slot to the right side. This is Kevin House in motion to the top of your screen. Wilder and Owens, play action. Doug Williams fires, got a man open. That's the tight end, Jimmy Giles. First down and more, Tampa Bay. Giles carrying the pigskin out there like a loaf of bread. Breaks into Viking territory. Down across the 45, down to the 43-yard line. Before Dennis Johnson, number 52, Mark Mullaney, number 77, made that tackle. Take another look at tight end Jimmy Giles.
And you sense the cool of Doug Williams here. A lot of play action, gets some pressure, stays in there. Giles make great hands. Look at him carrying that ball. Coaches get heart palpitations when they see that. Tucks it away at the last moment, holds on for the first down.
Of course, Jimmy Giles, number 88, is 6'3", 245. You saw him yesterday in the hotel. You saw the size of his hands. He wrapped it right around that football.
And he told me
10 Tampa Bay. James Owens out of UCLA gets a block, tries to clear the left side, and cannot. Knife behind the line of scrimmage, and it'll be 2nd down and 11 yards to go. We're back in our booth, joined by NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle, who's been commissioner of the National Football League for the last 23 seasons. We're in the 63rd season. We open up with 28 teams, all hoping to get to Pasadena. Welcome.
They're shooting for that Super Bowl, and you can see the intensity of the play out here today.
Of course, you're here to help open up this new stadium, the 5th Dome Stadium in the National
That's
Football
right.
League.
I want to be here for the regular season opener.
Do you miss the Met Stadium at all after all those memories, all the icicles and all the frozen snow bowl games?
It was colorful. This is better.
We had some great moments there, of course, during the glory years of the Vikings. They're winning the division 12 times in the 21 seasons that they played there. Commissioner, this season opens up with somewhat of a cloud over it, of course. The Players Association, the threat of a strike, some kind of player action in the next 4 or 5 weeks, perhaps. As the commissioner, all the fans all across America who love this sport would like to know how or if a strike can be avoided.
Well, we certainly hope so. I believe there's the money there if the players and the owners could just cut it up equitably. And I think it's them understanding the numbers, what's available, and then reaching a compromise. I'm staying close to it. I don't think I'd serve any purpose by getting involved now. I don't think Ed Garvey would particularly be interested in my solutions for compromise. If they get close, hopefully I can be an escape valve.
Commissioner, are you optimistic that a strike can be averted?
I don't think I can say that. I'm hopeful. I'm always optimistic. But I think it'll be difficult to say that there won't be a strike. I hope there won't be.
Optimistic as the season begins here in the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. Of course, a man we had on many times in the old Metropolitan Stadium. Senator Humphrey is missed by all of his fans here in Minnesota.
Yes, I recall Senator Humphrey during the Viking playoffs out in the cold in the old stadium, and being on a CBS, I think, pregame show with him, a barbecue on the field. He was a great statesman and obviously a wonderful football fan.
Commissioner, thank you for joining us. We'll let you go back to your tailgating party in the booth next door.
Thank you.
Commissioner Pete Rozelle, in his 23rd year, who has led the National Football League. 28 teams now, of course, and it is one of the more popular spectator sports of all time. 1st and 10 to go, Tampa Bay. The ball on the 31-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. The drive keeping alive as they get it back close to the line of scrimmage, and not much more. Jimmy Owens, the ball carrier out of UCLA, and he is brought down by number 54, Fred McNeil, in his 9th year, former Bruin out of UCLA himself.
While we were away talking with the commissioner, of course, Doug Williams put together some yards, got 20 or so yards, completed a nice pass, and Tampa Bay appears to be on the move. Of course, they better get on the move. They're down by 11 points late in the 3rd quarter. Snell is hurt going to the sideline.
He's a first-round draft pick in 1980 out of Wisconsin, 3rd-year man, 6'4", 265, does not look like to be back in the near future. 2nd down and 9 for the Buccaneers. They trail it by 11. Very important to put some kind of points on the board here, John.
Very important.
The blitz is on, and Doug Williams, even though he was being chased down by Mullaney, somehow managed to get that ball away. That shows you the strength of a Doug Williams. Now, Holloway and McNeil rushing in from the left side, and number 72 is down. That is Jimmy White, the first-round draft pick out of Oklahoma State, who is down. They blitz McNeil. This is something we expected. McNeil to be blitzing along with Matt Blair, number 59. So while we've got an injury, we'll take a timeout. 3:38 left to go. The Bucs on the short end by 11.
Welcome to Miller time. It's all yours and it's all mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer. For what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller time. Yours and mine.
The best beer for the best time of the day. Miller High Life.
No other wagon gets better mileage around town than the Honda Civic wagon. Well, with one exception.
James White, the seventh-year pro out of Oklahoma State. You can see the ice pack. They are also working on that right ankle. It's very tender right now. So Randy Holloway, number 75, will be in and take his place. A first-round draft pick in 78 out of Pittsburgh. Five-year man, number 75, Randy Holloway, and now defensively for the Minnesota Vikings. It is 3rd and 9 and big play time for Tampa Bay. Carter and House in the slot. They flood the left side. Doug Williams with a straight drop. Throws it incomplete. Intending it for number 84, Gordon Jones. John, that was a catchable pass.
That was a catchable pass. Gordon Jones coming over the middle, just couldn't hold on to it. Doug Williams disgusted. That was an important play.
Around the NFL today, we've got some scores. The Giants are deadlocked with the Atlanta Falcons 7-7. Bruner, a touchdown toss to Ernest Gray. William Andrews has run in from 15 yards. That's all the scoring there. Hipple has a touchdown toss. Matsui, a touchdown run for the Bears. The field goal, a difference as the Lions lead Mike Ditka in his debut as the head coach in Chicago. Field goal try well within the range of Bill Capice. They will spot this at the 37-yard line. It will be a 47-yard try. He has hit from 51. This one is wide to the right, so he has missed the first wide to the left. He has hit the second one from 51. He has missed the third one wide to the right side. Score stands, 3:30 left to go in the third quarter. The Minnesota Vikings lead the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by 11.
Watch this demonstration of how the tough new-size Ford Ranger can conquer mountains. This new small pickup gets this high gas mileage and carries this payload. Ranger's husky new truck engine can haul this mighty load up this grade, 2 times steeper than Mount Washington, or even this nasty grade, 4 times Pikes Peak. However, this super steep angle, even Ranger won't try. This is Mount Everest. Save hundreds during Ford's factory-authorized clearance sale.
When Mattel Electronics asked me to tell you about Intellivision, I was delighted. But now they've got this $50 rebate. Well, I don't think you should buy an Intellivision because of a rebate. I think you should buy one because it's a marvelous system. A rebate commercial? I won't do it.
But we will get a $50 rebate after you buy an Intellivision Master Component.
The irrepressible Jimmy Connors meets the man who stopped John McEnroe, Yvonne Lendl. The men's final of the U.S. Open Tennis Championships on CBS Sports next.
Burt Jones getting off to a lightning quick start for the Los Angeles Rams. Green Bay has just scored. Lynn Dickey to Paul Cochran from 4 yards out, and the Packers are on the board. Before that, the Rams were blowing out Green Bay at home. The 34, so he turned nothing into something with good extra effort and manages to salvage 3.
He's one of those backs that has the ability to cut at full speed anywhere. I mean, there's all that talk about turf backs. About being a turf back, as you look at more scores, Philadelphia on top of Washington 20-14, an important game for them, of course, for both those teams. Cincinnati shutting out Houston 24-0. Looks like they want to go back to that Super Bowl, Jim.
Some of the Oiler players not happy with head coach Ed Biles at all. Buffalo is leading Kansas City at home. Chuck Knox and the Bills. Baltimore 3, New England 3. A battle between Richard Wood. A year ago, they would have called that game in Baltimore the draft bowl game. Patriots and the Colts. Of course, the Colts are going with a rookie quarterback, a fellow who played for Frank Bush out at Arizona State.
Pagel has beaten out Art Schlichter for the moment.
And a change in quarterbacks, too, for the Patriots. They're going with Matt Cavanaugh, former Pittsburgh Panther, instead of the veteran Steve Grogan. Tommy Kramer on 3rd and 3. Got his man Brown, but he will be knifed backwards before he picked up the first down. They had to get it up to across the 40-yard line. He was chopped down at the 39 by Hugh Green, number 53.
It's interesting that Hugh Green helped Ted Brown up. Remember in the first half, he and Joe Sensor were going at it along the sideline. Apparently Hugh has calmed down a little bit.
Coleman will come in and kick it away. Holt back at about the 20-yard line of Tampa Bay. And the Buccaneers are on the short end by 11, 14-3 with a minute and 30 seconds left to go in the third quarter. In a game that's going much quicker than most expected. Everybody expected more of an aerial circus with Doug Williams and especially Tommy Kramer. Coleman gets a beauty away. High kick that Holt will hammer down at the 18-yard line. Flag on the play, upfield back at the 35-yard line of Tampa Bay. Holt manages to slither forward to about the 21 before Keith Nord, number 49. Keith Nord, what a job he has done today on the specialty teams. He has made 2 solo tackles, and he has also fielded a punt by Coleman inside the 5-yard line of Tampa Bay, giving them very bad field position.
If you're not going to be a starter, which Keith Nord is not, on an NFL team, then you have to contribute somehow, and coaches look for that special team help, and he's certainly giving it to the Vikings, number 49.
Of course, this year, the NFL roster is expanded by 4, John. Here's Gene Barth, the referee.
We have a post-possession foul, illegal use of the hands, number 54, during the run back.
And Jim, you talked to Pete Rozelle a little bit about the cloud hanging over the season, the NFL strike, of course, and we talked to John McKay yesterday. He thought his team was ready mentally, but he said if there were penalties, we'd know they were distracted and something else was on their mind.
But I think, John, that some of the penalties the Bucs have taken were not strike-oriented.
Nice car!
There's a new Toyota that's been getting a lot of notice lately.
Nice car.
The new Toyota Celica.
Nice car.
A Celica that carries on the sporty Celica line in space-age fashion with wind tunnel sculpted lines and 5-speed overdrive, a 2.4-liter propulsion system. All the stuff that makes Celica the right stuff.
Nice car.
Celica.
The great American pastime, washing the car. You love to keep it clean on the outside. Prestone worries about the inside, about rust building up inside your radiator. If you don't change your antifreeze when you should, you wouldn't believe the rust and corrosion that could be there. See how bad it can get if you put just 10,000 miles on weak, neglected antifreeze? See the Prestone difference? Don't wait. Put in fresh Prestone now. Deep inside, trust Prestone.
As we went away, we're talking about some of the penalties that the Buccaneers are taking, not being strike-oriented. To embellish that a little bit, John McKay said if they took foolish penalties, if they're jumping offside offensively and defensively, if there's motion on offense, then it shows that our concentration in practice just wasn't there. But some of the penalties, John, that the Bucs are taking, penalties of execution, illegal use of the hands, holding, passing interference, those kind of penalties are not concentration-oriented. Those are execution penalties. Kevin House and Gordon Jones are your wide receivers. 1st and 10, Tampa Bay. They trail by 11 with 1:11 to go in the third quarter. Doug Williams fired that ball complete. He said he did not have possession. He was juggling the ball, and Gordon Jones is not happy with that call at all, and Doug Williams is even less happy. John Turner made a fine defensive play.
That was a beautiful throw. What separates one quarterback from another in the NFL is the ability to throw the deep out pattern. Doug Williams had that kind of arm. Here he delivered the ball perfectly to House on the sideline. He's juggling the ball there, doesn't have complete possession of it, and that's the call, an incompletion.
Excellent call. Both officials in fine position to make that call immediately.
Gordon Jones, number 84, the man who juggled that ball, not Kevin House.
And John Turner, the man who was helping him juggle the ball as he was holding on to one hand out of bounds. Kevin House and Theo Bell, wide receivers left and right. The backs are split on 2nd and 10. Clock stopped on the incompleted pass. Doug Williams in be careful territory. Finds his man Wilder out of the backfield. A slashing run across the 20, and very good first down yardage for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Curtin off in there in the tackle. The free agent out of Kansas, but there's a flag down on the far side of the field.
It's a nice touch by Doug Williams on this. 4 years ago, Doug Williams would not have been able to throw this pass, but here he just lifts it over the defensive man, linebacker, and then Wilder does it on his own as he runs by number 25. Curtin off makes good yardage.
He did step out of bounds back at the 19-yard line. The flag just dropped down, slipped out of one of the pockets. There was no penalty, but he did step out of bounds before picking up the first down yardage. That left ankle just hit the chalk mark. So it'll be third down and 1.5 to go for Doug Williams. They go with a double tight end alignment now. Obradovich in with Jimmy Giles. And they give it to the second back through. Look out. The 4-year man out of UCLA, very explosive. Number 26, Jimmy Owens, picks up the first down yardage before Tom Hannon, third-year man out of Michigan State, makes the tackle.
Credit the offensive line for that first down. Wilson, Farrell, Snell. Well, Snell's hurt, though. So we update some of the scores. The Giants leading Atlanta 14-7. Scott Bruner, of course, taking over for the injured Phil Simms. St. Louis next week here on CBS, 14-0. Go up against Dallas. And St. Louis at home against Dallas is tough. They beat them 4 out of the last 8 times they've met.
Cardinals led by Neil Lomax, the quarterback, and of course Archie Manning is the veteran signal caller. But Bun Phillips is finally batted loose by number 79. Doug Martin, the third-year pro out of Washington, incompleted pass. That is some defensive job when you're going up against 6'4" Doug Williams. We're talking about the New Orleans Saints. Bum Phillips in New Orleans has said that if Archie Manning cannot move the team, he'll go to Ken Stabler very quickly.
Ken Stabler didn't look bad last week. Let's look at this again. Doug Martin, possibly the best pass rusher, best defensive lineman on the Vikings, comes from the right-hand side of your screen. He's all over Doug Williams right here. Whew. No chance for Doug to get rid of that ball.
You know, we've been talking about the number 1 draft pick for the Minnesota Vikings all afternoon, Darren Nelson. The Buccaneers have a number 1 draft pick, 2 out of Penn State. He is 6'3", 260. Sean Farrell. Now you take a look at the right guard position from the end zone camera. Second down, 10 yards to go. Williams with a straight drop. Blitzed by the Vikings. Intercepted Minnesota. John Turner tries to get to the 20-yard line. He's knifed down at the 23. Wilder finally made the tackle. The Vikings, who only had 16 interceptions last year, have picked off 2 this afternoon.
Doug Williams' vision is always a problem. Watch as you look from behind the quarterback. You'll get a feel of what Doug Williams is looking at downfield. All the confusion, all the bodies. He doesn't see Turner. Has enough time, not really pressured. Throws behind his receiver. Turner picks it off.
John, the Vikings wanted to be more aggressive on defense, especially in the secondary. I think it's significant that both Scott Studwell and John Turner, who have the interception so far this afternoon, didn't have any last year.
Exactly, and they only had, once again, in preseason, Bud Grant was worried about it. They only had 3 interceptions. He says, guys, we have to get to the ball. But for a defensive back to do that, he has to feel comfortable with the rush.
Bob Brewer is the tight end. Joe Sensor is on the sideline. Vikings start from the 24 of Tampa Bay. Sammy White in motion to the top of your screen. Play action trying to freeze the linebackers. Kramer comes right back to Sammy White, who incomplete down at the 9-yard line. Contact made by the defender. The cornerback came up, number 40 for the Buccaneers. That's Mike Washington. And Sammy White is thinking, I wonder if I didn't get hit a little bit before the ball got there.
Tough play. You see the play action here. Toughest play in football is a post corner. Watch this. Washington hits him just as the ball gets there, gets his hand over the top. It's a good defensive play, even though White doesn't agree.
That's the end of the third quarter. The Vikings lead by 11.
This roomy, inexpensive Subaru station wagon not only goes far on a gallon of gas, it also goes almost anywhere on a gallon of gas, thanks to front-wheel drive. But if you want more traction than our wagon with front-wheel drive, we suggest our wagon with on-demand four-wheel drive. Subaru, inexpensive, and built to stay that way.
Used to good friends.
Do you guys realize this is our 4th summer place together?
Remember that old beach house we had?
How about the time you two almost set the woods on fire?
Okay, who's ready for a Lowenbrow?
When you want the taste of a truly great American beer, tonight, let it be Lowenbrow.
You know, I think we
There you see the old and the new. Number 50, Jeff Seaman, wanted to play on the West Coast, went out to San Diego, felt the Chargers didn't have a home for him. He was over on the sideline diagramming plays for number 52, the new linebacker Dennis Johnson, who got a chance to play when Seaman went out and tried Charger land.
Very close. Could have gone either way. Mike Washington making a good play on Sammy White.
Sammy White didn't think so.
I know, and you don't agree with me either, but as an old defensive back,
Very old.
I have to defend those fellas. I thought it was a good play.
You were one of the last to play offense and defense, one of the last two-way players.
Iron Man.
Leather helmets back.
No face mask.
Second down and 10 Vikings. Sammy White to the top of your screen. Ahmad Rashad to the bottom of your screen. He needs one more pass to move into a tie with Boyd Dowler in 16th place in the all-time NFL receiving list. Wide open was Bruner, the tight end. But the pass was incomplete. Around the NFL today, let's go to New York and Brent Musburger for this update.
The Green Bay Packers have struck back against the Los Angeles Rams. They have scored twice. First on that pass from Dickey to Kaufman, and then Eddie Lee Ivory on this run. Let's send you back to the stadium in Kelly.
We've got 14:56 left to go here in this football game, at least left in regulation. The Vikings on top by 11.
In Green Bay, it's interesting that Eddie Lee Ivory scored on a nice play. I saw him in preseason. He looks like he's recovered from those 2 knee injuries.
Third down, 10 yards to go. Slot formation to the left side. Rashad is in the slot. White is out. Down at the bottom of your screen is the second-year pro, Leo Lewis. Tommy Kramer in all kinds of trouble. Fires incomplete. He had White moving outside. Looked like it might have been intended for Ted Brown. It goes incomplete, and we'll see the field goal team once again. Dave Stahl, 65, the 6-year veteran out of northern Colorado, putting all kinds of pressure on Tommy Kramer, who is not having the afternoon that most felt Kramer would have.
And that I thought Kramer would have. I talked to him in practice the other day. He said he felt great, mentally and physically, that he was ready to play.
4th and 10, Steve Dills will hold. He'll spot the ball down at the 33-yard line. Rick Danmeyer, who had a sensational preseason, perfect in the field goal department, perfect in the PATs, will try from 42 yards away. And this one is just short. Just about a yard and a half shy. Didn't quite get all of it, so the score stands, and the Buccaneers come out of it uninjured. 14:47 left to go in regulation. 14-3. Tampa Bay on the short end. We'll return to the Metrodome after this word from your local station.
Next Saturday on CBS Sports. Timely Rider heads the field at the Marlboro Cup. Next Saturday on CBS Sports. This is CBS.
This is Robert Redford. Help protect the endangered bald eagle. Write Project Eagle, National Wildlife Federation, Washington, D.C. 20036.
One issue stands above the others this fall. Jobs, the heart of the Perpich-Johnson campaign. Both the Perpich-Johnson team, together we will make Minnesota work again.
Nobody brings the computer age home like Atari. Ready? Bonjour.
Bonjour?
Not quite. Try it one more time.
Bonjour.
Learn a new language or play an exclusive Atari game like Centipede. At the Atari 400 home computer's new low price, it's a lot of computing power for the money. It could even change your life.
Bonjour, Premier. Come here. Comment allez-vous?
The Atari 400 home computer. We've brought the computer age home.
You've got a lot riding on this letter, and you're going to hand it over to the post office? Federal Express has an alternative.
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Subaru. Inexpensive and built to stay that way. Lowenbrau. When it's time for the taste of a truly great beer, let it be Lowenbrau. And by Honda Motorcycles, inventors of the Honda ATC, the off-road three-wheeler.
Tampa Bay has won their last 3 season openers, but right now that man, a very happy Viking, as Minnesota's on top by 11, 14-3. 14:47 left to go in regulation. Doug Williams needs to put some points on the board. Got Jimmy Giles at the 45. Giles knifes over the 50-yard line down to the 47-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. Tom Hannon in there on the hit, and that is some hit when you can bring Jimmy Giles down one-on-one.
What a nice touch by Doug Williams as we isolate here. Doug Williams throws it over. See the linebacker chasing him. He just can't keep up. That's Dennis Johnson. Giles told me before the game that he thought he'd be a step faster on this soft, cushiony, artificial turf. And he's showing it right here. Good completion, first down. Big play for Doug Williams.
And as you point out, a nice touch by quarterback Doug Williams, who at one time would have thrown that ball like a string, but that time he just looped it over the linebacker in front of the safety man. As you see the stat in the book on Jimmy Giles this afternoon. They try student body right, but not much doing. That's Michael Morton out of Nevada, Las Vegas. You talk about Tommy Kramer and Doug Williams. Let's take a look and see how the two quarterbacks have been doing so far this afternoon. Doug Williams, 12 out of 24 in the passing department for 166 yards, but no touchdowns. Tommy Kramer has thrown for over 130 yards, there you see, and he has the 122-yard scoring strike to Sammy White. John McKay told us yesterday in the hotel that he expected maybe as many as 50 to 60 passes by the Vikings this afternoon.
Well, that's generally what Kramer throws in a game.
Second down and 8, Tampa Bay. They trail by 11, 14-3. Good protection. They set up the screen to the left side. Mel Carter with a convoy inside the 35. First down, Tampa Bay, down at the 33. Again, Tom Hannon. He's playing like an all-pro, the free safety out of Michigan State so far this afternoon. Matt Blair with good pursuit.
Of course, it's a nice screen pass to Melvin Carver. An interesting story. A free agent out of Nevada, Las Vegas. Of course, he and Morton, the other free agent out of Nevada, Las Vegas, were the leading rushers in preseason. Here he makes a nice cut for some good yardage. An interesting thing when John McKay says you spend $16 million on scouting in the NFL and you miss a player like number 28, Melvin Carver.
Of course, the scouts don't have it too tough if they go to Las Vegas, do they? Inside the 30-yard line, slashing James Wilder, second-year back out of Missouri, brought down by Doug Martin, and it'll bring up second down and 5. Tampa Bay needs to keep this drive alive. They must put some points on the board now, 12:50 and counting in regulation. John McKay, Bill Nelson. Bill Nelson, of course, the great quarterback with the Cleveland Browns, used to throw that post pattern about as well as anybody to number 86, Gary Collins. Slot formation to the left side on second down and 5. Doug Williams can run with the ball, though he's not done it this afternoon, as well as pass. Number 28, Mel Carver, the free agent out of Las Vegas, 5'11", 210, very strong.
The Las Vegas connection, Doug Williams called him. He said, we went to Las Vegas and we gambled and we won.
The men's finals of the U.S. Open Tennis Championships, and what a championship it's been. Following the game with the number 2 seed Jimmy Connors facing the number 3 seed Yvonne Lendl for the championship. That's next right here on CBS Sports.
And it was interesting when we were watching it with Jimmy Giles, he liked Connors in that game.
He did indeed. John McKay, however, was preoccupied.
Not that interested.
Third down, 2 yards to go. They go with a double tight end alignment, Jimmy Giles and Jim Obradovich. They almost had him in the backfield. Still they get him just back at the line of scrimmage. Tom Hannon again playing like a man possessed. Fred McNeil on the other side, 54, helped out. You can see Nelson and McKay looking at the clock now. They say, how much time is left? Do we need a field goal? Do we need a touchdown? Well, they need 11 points, regardless of how you total them up.
I would think it would be important that they get a touchdown here, put some points on the board, and get back in this game. As you look at the clock, 11-14 and counting in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Capiz has had a so-so afternoon. He's missed one wide to the left, one wide to the right, and he hit a bullet from 51. So McKay feels he needs to keep the drive alive and get the touchdown. Theo Bell wide to the right side. Kevin House, who's been quiet here in the second half, wide to the left side, and Doug Williams said, wait a minute. Well, you can go back to the last game of the regular season at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. The Buccaneers had the same kind of a situation facing them. A sellout crowd, a dome stadium, and lots of noise. And that game they won.
That was truly a great game for them. Who would have believed that they would have gone into Detroit and beat Detroit, who was so tough at home, that string of victories, but yet they did it. They won the Central Division. Of course, they don't want to talk about the following week, Dallas beating them 38-zip.
To my imagination, did they turn more lights on? Did it get
Minnesota Gophers here, a big win over Ohio University. They buried them 57-3. The vice president in town.
That's right. Mr. George Bush was here last night. The restaurants, the taverns are doing land office business the last 3 nights. We were talking with some of the Viking people. The hotels and motels are offering special football packages when the University of Minnesota plays and the Vikings are at home. So this facility and the Vikings moving downtown doing an awful lot to help downtown Minneapolis.
Of course, Jim, if this continues, there is a penalty possible for the home. No? Doug Williams trying to hear.
On 4th and 2, very important that his offensive linemen and running backs, of course, can hear the signal count. The crowd certainly not willing to cooperate.
Tough situation for a quarterback. Do you stop and go back to the huddle and wait, or do you go through with it? This breaks your rhythm as an offensive team.
Interesting, too, John. The 30-second clock is not even running. Gene Barth has said, we've got to give Tampa Bay every opportunity to get this playoff. Now he will talk with the captain of the Minnesota Vikings on defense and ask for the Viking players to give their assistance so that they can hold their hands up and try to quiet the crowd. There's the clock, which has not been running the last 2 plays. So now you'll see the Viking players. Watch the Viking players ask for quiet for the Minnesota fans. Tough situation for Doug Williams to be in. Blitz is on. He's got it. Incomplete. Incomplete. Strip loose by Tom Hannon, number 45 again. And they're on their feet here in Minnesota. Watch the pressure by Randy Holloway, Mark Mullaney, and I believe they also blitzed the linebacker, John, in from the left side to put extra pressure on Doug Williams. Watch the left side.
75. Holloway comes in, but Williams keeps his cool. He has that great arm, that quick wrist action. Looked like Giles might have been able to catch that ball.
Except that Tommy Hannon stripped it loose. 10:53 left to go. The Bucs come up empty.
It takes 2 wheels to have some fun, and you need 2 more to get the job done. But what can you do with 3? Just try the Honda ATC.
11 years ago, Honda invented the ATC 3-wheeler. And ever since, folks have been inventing new ways to use it.
Follow the leader, he's on a Honda.
Thanks to a remarkable new data communication system. At the touch of a button, a broker anywhere in the country can now get not only stock quotes, but financial statements and business news reports. Even customer portfolios. Gee. No, GTE.
To do some scores. 10:53 left in regulation. Tampa Bay went for it on 4th down. Giles had the ball stripped loose. An excellent play by Doug Williams under all kinds of pressure. So you can't fault the maturing quarterback of the Buccaneers. And Tampa Bay comes up short. They still trail by 11. 10:53 left to go. Teddy Brown, Ricky Young are the running backs for Tommy Kramer, who's got Ahmad Rashad wide to the right side, and Sammy White at the top of your screen. They'll work on the clock. Ted Brown, Hugh Green. They meet 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. It'll bring up 2nd down and 12. This is the time, John, where Tampa Bay's defense has got to do something. Force the fumble, come up with the interception, help the offense out a little bit, because since the first quarter, when Bill Capiz kicked that 51-yard field goal, it's been the Viking defense which has assumed command of this game.
And it's an interesting situation with 2nd and 12 as you see the signals going in from the sidelines of Tommy Kramer. Well, do you put the ball up and give the Bucs a chance to intercept? This is a time where the Bucs should let it all hang out. Let them blitz, come after it.
2nd down and 12 as Tommy Kramer brings them out. Dennis Swilley, the 6-year veteran from Texas A&M, out over the ball at center. Guards are Huff and Hamilton. The tackles are Irwin and Riley. Tommy Kramer looks for the short pass. Now will come back against the grain. He's got Ricky Young streaking across the sideline, breaks the tackle, and then finally goes down at the 25-yard line. We're going to New York for an NFL update. Brent Musburger, we've got a 14-3 game here. What's going around the NFL?
Jim, it is 4th and 1 for the Bears. They've been stopped 3 times by the Lions at the 1-yard line. Mike Ditka set the play in. Bob Avellini pulls out, and 4 times from the 1, they are crushed. Let's go back to Jim Kelly.
Thank you, Brent, who, of course, has had such a busy week anchoring our special reports, our evening coverage of the U.S. Open tennis, and what a job our CBS Sports camera crew has done covering the U.S. Open tennis and deployed all week to cover NFL football. 9:20 left to go. From the shotgun, 3rd and 11. Kramer tucks it in, now is in all kinds of trouble and will wisely not risk the interception. Now let's take a look at the play just before this, where he stutter-stepped out of trouble and somehow managed to get the ball to Ricky Young.
Watch this play-action fake. They don't buy it here. Big Leroy Selman is fighting Kramer. He jumps, throws the ball, but that's Selman all over him. Not much of a chance to do anything for Kramer.
Big play time now for Tampa Bay. Holt is back deep. You looked at Sammy White and Tommy Kramer conferring over on the Minnesota sideline below us. Coleman all set to boom it away. He will go for the near sideline, gets a low, wobbly kick, but still has some good foot into it that Holt will field at the 25-yard line. Running laterally, he loses 5 yards, and to no one's surprise, that is number 49, Keith Nord, who should be all-pro specialty teams based on his performance here this afternoon. He has had some kind of a football game. A 56-yard punt by Coleman. When we come right back, Tampa Bay must get a scoring drive together. They trail by 11.
You can get a Subaru hatchback with either front-wheel drive or on-demand four-wheel drive. Either way, the most important drive they put you on is an economy drive, with low sticker prices and the kind of mileage that lets you feed your family instead of your car. Subaru, inexpensive and built to stay that way.
Once you put motor oil in a can, you can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't watch it work. So how do you know how good it is?
At Quaker State, we put it in writing. We back up our quality with a lifetime guarantee.
How do you know how good Quaker State is?
We guarantee every new car engine against oil-related failure for as long as you own your car. We put it in writing.
We're working to keep your car staying on the road.
How do you know how good Quaker State is? We put it in writing. No one else does.
Next Sunday on CBS Sports, a big doubleheader of NFL action. Dallas at St. Louis, San Francisco at Denver, plus other regional action. Next Sunday on CBS Sports.
That's the situation. The Vikings have 14. Tampa Bay has just a 51-yard field goal by Bill Capiz. That came early in the first quarter. And since that time, Minnesota's defense has been playing very well. Not at all like a team that lost their last 5 regular season games to miss the playoffs a year ago. Gordon Jones out wide to the left side for the Buccaneers. Kevin House put out to the top of your screen. Doug Williams, 80 yards from Pater. 1st and 10. Over the middle, incomplete, batted away by number 54 on defense. That is Fred McNeil, the 9-year veteran out of UCLA. Man was open, but a great defensive play by the former Brew.
Not only that, his offensive line, Doug Williams' offensive line is not doing a great job for him. Number 79, Doug Martin, all over Williams. Charlie Hanna having his problems with him. And that's an offensive line that only got their quarterback sacked 19 times last year.
Of course, John, when you're in the middle of the 4th quarter and you're behind by 11, you need to pick up yardage in bigger bunches than you do earlier in the football game. So they've got to go to the longer pass routes. It takes a little bit more time to develop. Gerald Carter, 87, out wide to the left side now. Kevin House is in the slot formation. Still 2nd down, 10 yards to go. Big rush put on. Doug Williams gets out of it, finds his tight end, Jimmy Giles. 1st down and more up near the 33-yard line. What a huge target. 6'3", 245 out of Alcorn State. Came to the Buccaneers in a trade with the Oilers in 78, but we've got a flag in the backfield of Tampa Bay.
Holding on Tampa Bay, and everybody we talked to in the Viking organization said the acquisition of Charlie Johnson, the Pro Bowler from Philadelphia, has helped to provide some inspiration for guys like White and Martin, Mullaney and Holloway, that they're playing better just because of his very presence, as we listen to the call.
Number 68 offense, holding, still 2nd down.
George Yarno, the 4th-year man out of Washington State. We'll see if we can pick up the holding call on the free agent. there, you can see a big difference in the football game. And, of course, one of the key penalties was the roughing the punter call that allowed the Vikings to sustain a drive that ended up in a scoring strike, 22 yards, Tommy Kramer to Sammy White. It's second down and 20. The Bucs are backing up. They set up the screen. Wilder to the 20, to the 25, slithers forward to the 27 on a good call, and you can see the deep drop as Doug Williams was chased back into the end zone. Breaking through there as they set it up was number 77 on defense for Tampa Bay, Mark Mullaney, the first-round draft pick from 1975, now in his 8th year out of Colorado State. So they needed 20. And they got 17. It'll be 3rd and 3. This is a very important call in this football game. 8:14, the clock in favor of Minnesota right now. Kevin House out wide in the slot formation. Theo Bell out wide to the left side. One setback. Formation would indicate pass. This is House in motion. Doug Williams can run for the first down. He's got it and much more as he gets across, fumbles the ball. Did the whistle blow? It did. He's got the first down to keep the Bucs drive alive up at the 38.5-yard line.
And that's the extra dimension we talked about as you look at John McKay along the sideline with Gordon Jones figuring out the next play. Doug Williams, when trapped, can run with the ball. I think you'll see some more of that. Watch Doug Williams again. He's back to pass. He can't find any good coverage downfield. Big hole up the middle.
You can see he was looking for Jimmy Giles right there, but Giles was covered by McNeil and by Nord. And finally, Nord comes over. He makes an effort. And finally, 75 makes the tackle for Randy Holloway. 1st and 10, Tampa Bay. 14-3, Vikings on top. Minnesota sending 4. Doug Williams better unload. Completes it to Jimmy Giles. No. He said he did not have possession. No argument from Giles. Good call. Doug Martin chasing Williams out of the pocket. There is a good case of the right-handed passer rolling left, but still the strength of Doug Williams.
And the flick of the wrist. The good quarterbacks, remember Namath used to throw with that flick of the wrist. Doug Williams, such a strong arm and such a good athlete, running away from all that pressure, flicked it to Giles. Giles just dropped it. After that great effort by Williams.
A 6th defensive back comes in now. John Swain, number 29, 4th-year man out of Miami of Florida. Anticipating pass, Minnesota is. 2nd down and 10. Giles, the tight end, lines up as a flanker to the left side. They've got a flood formation to the left side. Kevin House in the slot. Doug Williams trying to evade the on-rushing Minnesota Vikings. Fires it to Kevin House. First down, Tampa Bay in Minnesota territory down at about the 45, maybe the 46-yard line. Willie Teal chases him out of bounds. That is number 87, Carter. Gerald Carter on the reception. The 9th-round draft pick out of Texas A&M.
It's interesting the way, watch Carter on the out pattern here, and Williams puts it right in on the numbers. But Williams and just decided to half roll to get away from the pressure. The offensive line walled the defense off. He had plenty of time to throw that ball. Carter, 3 receptions for 53 yards today.
In his 3rd year with good speed and good hands, 6'1", 190. This time they send Gordon Jones to the bottom of your screen. Kevin House is at the top of your screen. Quick out, Jones got it. Gets away from 3 Vikings and more. Still on his feet, scrambling all the way down near the 27-yard line. Excellent individual effort that time by Gordon Jones, 4th-round draft pick out of Pittsburgh, 4th-year man out of Pittsburgh, rather.
A simple hitch. Jones makes a back-away move, is always trying to protect himself, gets that extra yardage, keeps rolling. Gordon Jones. I remember talking to Jack B. Sherrill one time about Gordon Jones, and he told me he thought Gordon Jones was as good at his position as Tony Dorsett was at his position, and yet Jones really hasn't done it as a pro.
Interesting, who was also down on the play helping blocking was James Owens, who came way across the field. 1st and 10, Tampa Bay, keeping the drive alive. They trail 14-3, 6:25 and counting left in regulation. Quick out to the other side. Fine defensive play by John Turner, the 5th-year back out of Miami of Florida. And let's check the wide receiver. Kevin House, really decked by Turner. It was a clean hit, but Turner got the helmet and the pads into him over on the far sideline. Interesting how the Buccaneers are changing their passing philosophy. Down when they had it about their own 15, their own 20, they were taking the longer routes. Doug Williams had to take the deep drops, and they were not very successful. Now they've gone to the short, the quick passes that don't take too much time to develop.
Watch Kevin House. The short play here. Turner comes up, and when he hits the ground, it appears that his shoulder goes into the turf. That might be the injury.
Also, the ball was underneath him. He might have had the wind knocked out. 14-3.
RCA's video disc. First, we opened your eyes to great entertainment. Now, we're going to open your ears to stereo sound. Introducing the RCA's stereo video disc player, letting you enjoy great stereo entertainment and movies on your TV tonight. Basic players start at $2.99, stereo higher. RCA's stereo video disc. It'll open your eyes and your ears.
Buy the player now and get 2 video discs free, direct from RCA.
Charlie Johnson, number 65, has just checked into the Vikings defensive lineup. It's 2nd down and 8 yards to go. Kevin House is out. Theo Bell is in. Doug Williams scrambling away from the rush, will come back, looks on the post pattern, fires underneath for Wilder coming out of the backfield, and he is just careened down. Number 55 in there on a massive hit for the Minnesota Vikings. He just stuck it in there. Scott Stugwell, who already has 1 interception, and the last 2 hits by Minnesota defensively, John, have been very impressive.
Minnesota has never been timid. Remember the purple people eaters. Well, Scott Studwell, Wilder coming out of the backfield. Williams sets himself this time, runs away from the pressure, finds him coming out, and Studwell gets his attention right there.
Picks up 8 on the play, so it's 3rd down now and 2 yards to go. Bucks are down 14-11, 5:15 and counting. Mel Carver in the backfield replacing James Wilder. Doug Williams, the blitz is on. He can run for the first down to the right side. Fires in the end zone. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Jimmy Giles.
Did you see Doug Williams waving Giles into the end zone as he was scrambling and just flicked the ball? That is a great talent at quarterback, and he's getting better by the day. Jimmy Giles just kept running away from the defender. Has fine speed as a tight end. Doug Williams again running away from the pressure.
This is the maturity of this team together that we talked about. Giles knows to look back to his quarterback, sees him in trouble, reads the wave correctly, and finds him for the scoring strike. 20 yards, Giles on the receiving end. They go 80 yards in 9 plays. And now Bill Capice can pull the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to within 4 points. Snap, stop, kick, perfect. We've got a dandy 5:06 left to go, and you wouldn't expect any less from the two teams that have alternated winning the NFC Central Division among themselves over the last 4 years. The Vikings lead the Bucks by 4.
Time. When you ship air cargo, time really is money. That's why Flying Tigers makes you this 100% on-time guarantee. No matter what you have to ship, we'll pick it up, fly it, and deliver it virtually anywhere in the country on time, or you don't pay. Flying Tigers. It's on time, or it's on us. Flying Tigers.
Bob and Sandy Davis needed 2 incomes to afford the home they wanted. Then tragedy struck. Allstate update. Joint mortgage protection. Sandy died before the mortgage was paid. Allstate Life's joint mortgage protection could have helped pay off their mortgage if either of them died for less than the price of 2 policies. But the Davises didn't have it. If you both work, talk to an Allstate agent for life, home, and auto. Put yourself in good hands.
The irrepressible Jimmy Connors meets the man who stopped John McEnroe, Yvonne Lendl. The men's final of the U.S. Open Tennis Championships on CBS Sports next.
John, it's interesting in talking to both the Vikings and the Bucks Friday and Saturday at practice. They thought that either team, if they could hold the other to 17 points, would win. 14-10 right now. That prognostication looks pretty good. Bill Capice, all set. Did not get all of this one at all. It goes to the far sideline. Fielded at the 13-yard line. They've got a wall of blockers set up, and look out. 1st and 10, Minnesota. There was a fumble on the play, but he was out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Doug Williams all set to come back in if the Bucks had recovered, but he fumbled the football after he went out of bounds. Looks like a rugby scrum down there.
You think Doug Williams doesn't want another shot? You see him come off the bench a moment ago. Look at this. He's watching the kickoff. Oh, wait a minute. I might get another shot. I threw 1 touchdown to Giles. get us back in the game.
And there's the man that had the touchdown pass sitting next to him, Jimmy Giles. Doug said, wait a minute. There's the man, number 88, who fell on that fumble, Marty McDowell, the second-year man out of Mississippi State. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers scoring drive, capped off by that 20-yard pass from Doug Williams to Jimmy Giles. And that is the only scoring drive Tampa Bay has managed to put together so far this afternoon. Before that, their only scoring was a 51-yard field goal by Bill Capiz. Ted Brown, Darren Nelson are the running backs for the Vikings, who will try to protect that 4-point lead. Nelson tries to hurdle over a couple of Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One of them was Neil Colsey, who would not allow himself to be hurdled over. Lots of action going on. The Atlanta Falcons got a 92-yard return of a blocked point after by Bob Glazebrook to get back into that game with the New York Giants. In Detroit, the Lions still protecting that field goal advantage over Mike Ditka, who makes his debut for the Chicago Bears. The Washington Redskins not giving up. Joe Theismann throws 78 yards to Charlie Brown. They trail the Eagles by just 6. Gifford Nielsen is thrown for 38 yards to Mike Holston. And finally, the Oilers are on the board, but it's been all Bengals in Cincinnati. Second down, 4 yards to go. Nelson and Brown are split. Rashad to the near side, White to the top of your screen. Tripped up by his own man. He was trying to get out of the backfield. David Logan, the man that made the tackle secure, but it was number 78, offensively, Steve Riley, over whom Tommy Kramer slipped.
Just a little play-action fake. Kramer looking. I think he wanted Nelson, who he just faked to out of the backfield, but he couldn't watch. He trips over his own man right there, as you said, Jim. Goes down, and now it's 3rd and 10. Interesting. Kramer here, as you look at number 78, Steve Riley, the 9th-year man out of USC. Kramer has to be careful. A possession pass to get that first down. Can't do anything silly and give the Bucs the ball back in this field position.
Minnesota has 2 interceptions. Tampa Bay has 1 fumble recovery in the turnover department. Tommy Kramer, it's tipped, and it goes incomplete, and that could be a blessing in disguise for Minnesota. The Bucs will get the ball back. Leroy Selman, the man that deflected the ball, and any time that ball is up in the air after a tip pass, it is free territory. Doubleheader next week, a big one right here on CBS. Next Sunday, you'll see Dallas at St. Louis. The Cowboys and the Cardinals. St. Louis led by Neil Lomax, and they were winning as we checked the scoreboard earlier. That will be followed by either the Super Bowl champion San Francisco 49ers taking on the Broncos at Mile High Stadium in Denver, the Redskins, who are right now trailing the Eagles by 6, playing these Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or the Detroit Lions, who are holding a 10-7 advantage over the Chicago Bears, taking on the Los Angeles Rams, getting a big afternoon from Burt Jones. Holt fields the ball at the 15. Nord was down there. Loose football, and it looks like the Vikings have recovered at the 21-yard line. 1st and 10, Minnesota. For so many years, the Minnesota Vikings have excelled, John Dockery, on the specialty team. Block field goal, block point after. Take another look. You'll see the first man down will be number 49, Keith Nord. He chases him over to the right side. Now watch 29 come into your picture.
See, Holt is getting away from a few men here. He's in traffic. Someone grabs his arm there. Ball comes loose. The Vikes come up with it. What a break for the Minnesota Vikings.
Number 51, the Viking who fell on the football, that's Jimmy Huff. Huff in his 5th year from Utah State. So just when the Bucs were about to get the football back, trailing by 4 with 3:13 to go, Minnesota comes up with their 3rd turnover of the football game. Slot to the left side. This is Brown blocking for Darren Nelson. Nelson slithers inside the 20 down to the 17-yard line. Norris Thomas, number 41, in there on the tackle. Now, this is an interesting and a very important series because if the Tampa Bay defense can stiffen and force the Vikings into a field goal situation, you then would have that 17-10 margin, and Tampa Bay, of course, would have lots of time left on the clock to try to get what would appear to be the tying touchdown.
I think you'll see Tommy Kramer try to get that touchdown, but not to do anything silly. Might see Joe Sensor doing something outside or one of his wide receivers on a post corner. As you look at Minnesota, that's how I score 4 points or a field goal makes it 7. A touchdown makes it really tough on the Bucs.
2nd down and 5 from the 16-yard line of Tampa Bay. They're in that 3-4 defense. Tommy Kramer, the quarterback draw. Down he goes, might have lost a yard or two. Knifed down by David Logan.
And you have to know that Tommy Kramer's knees are okay. Of course, last year that was one of the problems for the Vikings. Kramer with 2 bad knees at the end of the season. This year he told me he was healthy, worked out all off season, and there, when you see a quarterback keeper, you know his knees are okay.
Coming up tonight right here on CBS, following, of course, the U.S. Open tennis, we'll have 60 Minutes, Archie Bunker's Place, the Jeffersons, One Day at a Time, and Trapper John M.D. The 63rd season of the National Football League kicks off this afternoon here on CBS. We've got a great lineup following the NFL today. You've heard of the terrible towel? No.
The Viking sword is in presence. There's 62,000 swords.
Ricky Young, who has a 3-yard touchdown run, checking in along with Tommy Kramer. Number 87, Leo Lewis checks out. You might wonder where number 81, Joe Sensor, is, the outstanding tight end in his 3rd year out of Westchester State. He has left with a rib injury. X-rays have been taken. He is back on the sideline. So Bob Bruner, the 4th-year pro, is in there in his stead. He is number 82. Bruner is 6'5", 235. Sensor is 6'4", 238. So size-wise, you don't lose much. But Sensor, an outstanding receiver, in addition to being a good blocker. 3rd and 3. Brown on the sideline. We'll go with Ricky Young and Teddy Brown. Kramer, ball is batted loose, almost intercepted. It is incomplete. So it is field goal time for Rick Danmar. The last 2 passes by Tommy Kramer have been batted free.
And a good play. As you look at Joe Sensor along the sidelines, urging his team on. Good play by Teddy Brown, so that play wasn't intercepted. Number 59, Andy Hawkins, might have had a shot at it, but Brown came back to the ball strong, prevented the interception.
Big field goal, obviously, for both teams. Danmar will try out of the hold of Steve Dill. Steve will put it down at about the 23, plus the 10 of the end zone. A 33-yard try for Rick Danmar, who was pistol perfect in the preseason. Snap, spot, kick, the crowd will tell you. It is good. A 33-yard field goal as the Minnesota Vikings put 3 more on the board. Their scoring drive was really not much. It was 7 yards in 3 plays. But of course, when Tampa Bay fumbled that punt, that set up Minnesota in excellent field position, and they capitalized. And that's what division contenders must do. So the Vikings have a 7-point lead. Tampa Bay, if they can get the tying touchdown, we could be here for overtime.
And Jim, how many times has it been said the special teams mean so much to a team? Tampa Bay special teams have a chance right at this time on this kickoff return to redeem themselves. They haven't played well. A couple of Eddie Payton returns, that fumble on the other kickoff, which gave the Vikings a chance to kick that field goal. Special teams for Tampa have been poor. This is their chance to redeem, to give Doug Williams good field position so he can put a touchdown on the board and tie this game.
We've got 2:06 left to go in regulation. Tampa Bay will have the kickoff. The 2-minute warning will stop the clock. They'll have 2 timeouts remaining. And of course, they would like some kind of a big play right now from the specialty teams. Morton, number 1, is back deep, along with number 22, Smith, to receive. Danmar's kickoffs, John, significantly have been very short. So Tampa Bay should have good field position.
2:06 left in the game, and Michael Morton, number 1, the return man for Tampa, is a dangerous, dangerous man. Has great speed. His nickname is Mighty Mouse. Runs that 100 in about 9.5. He can break it.
That's Morton, number 1. Smith, number 22, back deep. Danmar has been kicking to the near side of the field. This time he sends a squiver that will hit at the 12. It's fielded by Morton. Has trouble with his footing, his shoe, and his winding, his bunting is coming off there. You can see he had trouble. The wrapping around one of the ankles was loose at about the 20. It looked like his shoe was about to come off, but still a fine return. He managed to hurdle his way up near the 33-yard line, and that's where Doug Williams and the Buccaneers on the short end by 7 points will start. In fact, the shoe did come off.
Going to retrieve that shoe. What a time to lose your shoe, huh? Johnny Ray Smith having trouble on that return.
So we've got 1:58 left to go in regulation. When we come right back, Tampa Bay Buccaneers will drive for what should be the tying touchdown.
At Ford Motor Company, quality is job one. This is one of 800 employee involvement groups formed by Ford and the UAW.
You're concerned with getting that piston in the engine.
Together, this employee involvement group is working on the engine of the future.
What the rings are doing now is setting right on a piece of carbide steel.
Solutions before they become problems. Another reason the quality of our cars has improved an average 48% since 1980.
Ford quality.
got to get him up.
Must say something more.
What are you doing?
So tonight, let it be low and brown.
When you want a taste of a truly great American beer, tonight, let it be low and brown.
Why were you guys down there so long?
Just waiting for a good reason to come up.
Let it be low and brown.
Watch number 22, Johnny Ray Smith, after he fields this kickoff. Watch the shoe come off right there, and then watch the bunting that had wrapped his ankle. That's what he's running on right now. The sock, and there goes the shoe back on.
Defensive backs never could tie their shoes. Look at this. Shaking his head. What happened?
A concerned John McKay and Bill Nelson on the Tampa Bay sideline. Gordon Jones, who was shaken up, is back in. Theo Bell is in the slot. We'll check and see. Kevin House is still on the sideline. Gerald Carter is in his stead. So the Bucs missing their speedster right now. Doug Williams in trouble. Incomplete. And he did well to get rid of the football.
A major accomplishment not to be trapped for a loss. Doug Williams moving around like a matador back there, dodging the defensive lineman, gets rid of the ball, so it's 2nd and 10 rather than 2nd and 20.
Hey, remember when the Rams were leading the Packers 23-0?
What happened?
Lynn Dickey has come back in the fourth quarter and thrown 2 touchdown passes, one to James Lofton from 15 yards, another to Paul Kaufman, and the Green Bay Packers have gone ahead over the Los Angeles Rams by a score of 28-23. The Lions have added a touchdown, so they go up over Mike Ditka and the Chicago Bears by 10, 17-7. It is 2nd down and 10. Doug Williams, wide receivers, left and right in motion. This is Theo Bell to the near side. Doug needs 10. Gives it the pump fake. Fires over the middle. He's got Jimmy Giles. First down and more. Tampa Bay at the 47-yard line. No flags on the play. Keith Nord on the tackle. And Doug Williams goes to the quick hurry-up offense.
And if Doug Williams gets in that rhythm, he'll be tough to stop. Jimmy Giles, of course, his favorite receiver. Kevin House, number 89, the man that can go downtown.
Vikings jumped off sides. Tampa Bay gets a free play. Incomplete, intended for Theo Bell down at the 40-yard line, but we'll check the flag. It appeared to be Doug Martin, number 79, the third-year pro out of Washington, who jumped off sides. So Tampa Bay gets a break because the clock will stop on the penalty call as well. We've got 1:27 left to go in regulation.
We talked about Doug Williams' maturity all along, Jim, and this is a point where it will be tested. The good quarterbacks, the Tommy Kramer type of quarterbacks. With 1:27 left in the game, he's got 48 yards for a touchdown.
Offside, still first down.
He needs 48 yards for a touchdown and a tie. He'll tell us about something about Doug Williams right here.
First down and 5 yards to go. Of course, the mark of a veteran quarterback when you're in this kind of a situation, not to get greedy. You don't need it all at once. You've got 2 timeouts left. You've got some outstanding wide receivers. You work the sidelines. Try to get them out of bounds. Work on the clock that way. Theo Bell to the top of the screen. Wilder the lone setback. Vikings coming with 5. They set up the screen to the right side. Wilder's got 2 in front to the 40, down to the 35. Breaks through 2 more Vikings and slithers forward down to the 30-yard line. 1st and 10, Tampa Bay inside the 30. Turner on the tackle.
Smart call. Smart call. Nice execution, James Wilder. The rush is on. They know the linebackers are dropping deep to cover. Williams gets the ball to Wilder, who makes it. He has a choice right here of running outside and getting out of bounds to stop the clock. He decides to go inside to go for the big gainer. He gets a good chunk of yardage in the first down.
Got a nice chunk of yardage indeed. 1:16 left to go in regulation. You can see at least the outwardly calm, cool, collected John McKay.
You think he's thinking about his golf game?
Not at all. He's got his mind on this. He felt this was a very big game for his young Buccaneers, coming off that impressive win at Detroit last year in the Silver Dome. They had something that they really had to prove to themselves and to their fans because, of course, that first playoff game against Dallas was a disaster. So they felt that the preseason was important, sure, but that's the time when you break in the rookies. You work on tuning up the defense, as we described before. But this game, coming against Minnesota, their division rival, very important because there's less room for error when you're playing a division rival.
Well, they had an excellent preseason. They were 3-1 last week. They annihilated Atlanta, shut them out. So I think one thing that McKay and some of the people in Tampa were worried about was possibly even the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being slightly overconfident. There's a difference between believing in yourself and knowing you can win and saying, well, we're that good. We went to the playoffs last year. We're better this year. And to take a team lightly, which I don't think they could do here with Minnesota, that was one of the worries. As you look at Doug Williams' stats, 290 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 2 interceptions, yes. One of them not his fault, the tip ball, the other a bad throw.
That's right. It's 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. Tampa Bay with 1 timeout remaining. Bell and Jones slotted out to the left side. Gerald Carter at the top of your screen. Minnesota will be coming. They'll send 4. Over the middle, incomplete, and intercepted. Number 37, Willie Teal. It was deflected by the linebacker, the veteran, Matt Blair, number 59, in his 9th year out of Iowa State. And Willie Teal comes up with another interception. So the Minnesota Vikings, who only had 16 interceptions all last year, have 3 this afternoon. This one by Willie Teal, who led the Vikings with 4 last year.
Of course, Matt Blair is a large linebacker. He's 6'6", and that's the difference here. Those extra 2 or 3 inches. Doug just doesn't get it up high enough. Blair tips it. Teal, the old tip drill, pays off here with the interception to shut down Tampa Bay's drive.
There he is, Willie Teal, the man of the moment, helped out, of course, by Matt Blair, and certainly the front 4 of the Vikings, who have been putting all kinds of pressure on Doug Williams in the second half. The Vikings have been in that Tampa Bay backfield almost at the snap of the ball.
Boy, Doug Williams thinking on the sideline, wow, had I thrown that ball another 3 or 4 inches higher, Blair wouldn't have got it. My receiver would have made it, possibly got into the end zone. Instead, Willie Teal, number 37.
We had just, John, before that play, showed you the stats on Doug Williams, who had a fine afternoon by Eddie Sanders. 3 interceptions, 2 of them on deflected passes. So the aggressiveness, the newfound aggressiveness, if you will, of the Minnesota Vikings, because they had to improve on the 16 INTs from last year. Tommy Kramer will just hit the artificial turf. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers only have 1 timeout left to go, and they will undoubtedly use it now as we are inside of 1 minute left to go in regulation. Coming up, of course, after the NFL today here on CBS, we've got a dandy for you. The finals of the U.S. Open Tennis. Yvonne Lendl, the number 3 seed, taking on the number 2 seed, Jimmy Connors.
Boy, Jimmy Connors, it looks like a new man. He looked so impressive yesterday in beating.
You know, it was interesting. Early in the week, he said that he had not yet emotionally fired himself up. Well, he certainly reached an emotional peak in his semifinal match yesterday. In our coverage here on CBS, Tony Travert, Pat Summerall, Virginia Wade, all courtside out at Flushing Meadows. We've got 28, 27, 26, and you can see the clock winding down. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who had won their last 3 opening games, will go down to defeat at the hands of the Minnesota Vikings. These 2 teams have alternated as division champs in the NFC the last 4 seasons, and there's no reason after this performance to expect anything less. A big division battle. This one won by the Vikings by a touchdown. Also, a large credit goes to their defense, John.
Exactly. Defense was excellent. Of course, Tommy Kramer did it when he had to do it. He hit that touchdown pass to White on the post pattern, an excellent play. So the series now will be 7 wins out of 10 for the Vikings, dominating the series. And of course, when you look at that Central Division, you have to know that both these teams will be there. Of course, Detroit with Billy Sims, a good one, another good team. Green Bay coming back today. I don't know the final score on that, but the only team you might count out is Chicago, and who knows what Mike Ditka can do for them.
The executive producer of the NFL on CBS is Terry O'Neill. Our senior producer, Charles H. Milton III. Today's game produced by Ed Gorin and directed by John McDonough. And our thanks to all of the technical people, all of the camera folks who brought you the sights and sounds of this opening game here in the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome, the Vikings and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You don't think we've got a lot of technical people spread across America today? 63rd NFL season opening up, U.S. Open tennis. This will be the last play of the football game. So the Minnesota Vikings will go on next Thursday night and take on the Buffalo Bills.
As many as 40 to 50 bats. Why not? He's got a new weapon, a new dimension. Number 1 draft choice, Darren Nelson from Stanford. Coming out of the backfield, he is just tremendous. At the same time, he's got the man who more closely resembles Lynn Swann than any other in the league. The magnificent veteran Ahmad Rashad, healthy again, and how he can do it with speed and grace.
Coming